Welcome back to the NLC Fall Open as we saw Ants take the 2-0 over Unique Esports Club. It's time for a second best of three other night. It's going to be Nvision versus Absolved. And Jamada, you believe this is going to be a much closer series than we've seen before?
Yeah, I think in contrary to what we just saw on our screens, I think this series is going to be much closer. I said at the start of the day, we've really undervalued the Nvision roster. I think that we've not given them enough credit. And that whilst I definitely do believe that this Absolved roster is really strong, that Nvision should be able to give them a run for their money. So I'm excited to see what kind of matchup we see, particularly between Twists and Eden Fox as well.
Yeah, Trouble, as a Greek, I think you are pretty excited to see Mr. Icebreaker. Is it Icebreaker? I'm confused.
Yeah, it's Icebreaker. Basically,
it is Icebreaker.
Here's how it goes. Icebreaker giveth, Icebreaker taketh. This is how it goes usually when you see an Icebreaker lane, right? He's the guy that likes to brawl. He wants to beat down his opponent. He wants to be the superior top laner. And you know what? This is the kind of champions he plays as well. He plays the Sets, he plays the Jaxes, he plays the Camille's, he plays the very aggressive kind of stuff that when they get ahead, it's really hard to beat. It's just sometimes hard to see him, overstep the boundaries and giving back a lot of the advantage that he's taken on his own. Because if he's really good at something, that's taking the lane in his own hands and creating the advantage on his own.
Stylistically, Jamada, what can we expect of these two teams? Are we going to see a lot of things happening in the early game, or there's more teams that go for comfort, go for more scaling?
Well, I think with Absolved, you could see a mixture of practically everything you saw. I think you could see some sort of aggression come out of the mid jungle, and then you sort of draft more scaling towards the bottom side, but you move that pressure from the mid lane and jungle down towards the bottom side, and you start to get only 35 and take set rolling. And then on the opposite side, I think when you're talking about man, I've mind blanked here. Save me, somebody. Nvision. When you're talking about Twists and you're talking about music, and then Icebreaker on the top side, I feel like this team can definitely play sort of more to the solo laners in this series. I think that Absolved as a team, they often like to leave Asadi on a bit of an island. So that could be something that you look to abuse, but Asadi is such a strong weak side laner that he can be hard to punish sometimes. So I'm looking at Nvision and I'm looking at, the starting point is music and Twists, and then where do they decide to actually move any kind of pressure that they might be able to get themselves?
Yeah, because this Twist is pretty interesting, Trouble. We did the plans together for European Masters, and Pick Sports was in there, where Twist was playing, I think it was...
ADC?
ADC, yeah.
No, I think he was jungle. Basically, I've seen him play all
he
three.
Went everywhere.
He was ADC, he was jungle, he was mid lane. Basically, the thought process behind it is that he's able, to shot call better if he's not on the ADC spot, if he's in the mid lane, if he can see the map better, if he can control the map better. And I don't blame him. I think his best lane is indeed the mid lane because he can do wonders from it. He can actually dictate the pace of the game and take the engages he wants. And I will agree with Jamada here that it looks like Nvision are more of the solo laner sort of team, whilst Absolved have brought more of a bot-centric sort of composition-wise team, because also Takeset and Only 35 played in the summer split together too, so they do have a lot of synergy going on for them.
I see Nvision banning out two junglers. That feels pretty personal, Jamana.
Yes, particularly the Lee Sin game. I think, Shakao, there's a chance he might not get that all night. And let's just put it like that. I actually like the GP ban here as well. It's something that Absolved and Asadi were willing to early rotation. Something a lot of teams, when it comes to top laners, it's either on like early rotation or it's no top lane pick until the last set of picks. But Absolved have shown the tendency to pick up the gangplank, so I'm actually quite happy to see that. And now thinking about the Graves, thinking about the Hecarim, Kindred is also still here. I don't really feel like we'll see much Nidalee, though Shakal is kind of fond of it. Given the nerfs, I'm not too sure. And Lucian ban makes a whole bunch of sense. So we have to see. I mean, okay, we just want the Nido Pro.
I just really like, in general, the GP ban in combination with the Nidalee. I'm expecting Icebreaker to grab something like the Renekton in the top side. That will be free dives pretty much on the top lane for him. He gets a little bit of attention, he gets a little bit ahead. He can snowball through that. GP is one of these champions that is not necessarily the strongest, but he's so hard to dive, so hard to kill, so hard to shut down. And with one mistake, he gets his first item, then you gotta go hide in some sort of mountain because he does a lot of damage with it. So far, it looks good for Nvision ban-wise and grabbing away the Nidalee.
Yeah, Absolved responding here with the Graves. Yeah, not too shabby, Jamana.
No, and I'm curious to see what they'll actually pair it with. I'm thinking, honestly, you might just want to take the Ornn here for a safe sort of like can survive these dives post level 4 esque top laner, unless you just want another prior role, which seems like is the case. They want to get take sets Ashe, so not a decent opening in all honesty. It could definitely be countered out by a few sort of directions Nvision could look towards here. I think Jhin would be an okay response, just naturally the 2 highest prior AD carries. But I would really like to see like Icebreakers, probably Renekton here. I think it would make the most sense unless there's something else that you're thinking about. Akali is actually a champion both these mid laners play, which I don't really think if you're Nvision, you'd want to take something like Akali in this spot. So I'm looking towards Icebreaker's pick here realistically, because unless you want something from the support role like Thresh or a Nautilus or even a Rakan for like just outright engage, it just makes the most sense to see that lock.
Yeah, that's kind of waiting on what that next pick will be.
You were saying, Jamada.
I was saying I don't feel like they'll want to do it, but I mean, in the same breath, Absolved realistically could have taken it on this spot too, so I guess they just don't really want to give it over. So yeah, I mean, Eden now, I would be curious to see whether Eden Fox throws down the LeBlanc Gauntlet. Okay, that is Eden Fox through and through for me.
So I was about to
IQ.
say,
That's all I can say.
it's kind of hard to itemize versus 2 AP sort of damage profiles, right? Especially when one of them is an assassin and the other one hurts a lot when they hit her skill shot, like the Nidalee. So something like can probably build a Banshee and get Mercuries would be the perfect pick for Eden in the mid lane, and he did just that. You can't go for the Banshee onto the LeBlanc, and you can also on your first pack grab the Mercuries. Yes, you're not going to be as deadly, but I feel like mainly you just want to be following Twist around the map. Twist, we know that he likes his Akalis, he likes his Twisted Fates, just because he can move around the map really quickly and be a complete nuisance. And I just like the double AP for Nvision, because I know that Icebreaker is probably going to go with something heavy AD in the top side that needs snowballing, and he's going to need a lot of attention from these two.
Yeah, bans coming out here is the Set and Bard are going to be taken away. The Camille talked a little bit about. I'm kind of curious to see what the last ban will be. I mean, it will be targeted to the top lane, I would say here, Jamada.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the Camille ban from Nvision here. I would maybe tier towards the Ornn, but I'm not even sure if Absolved would even like it.
Mordekaiser?
Yeah, Mordekaiser would be an okay ban, but they just want to trade support bans. So I guess, I mean, Pantheon Ashe is a very oppressive lane, and given Absolved's opener in their draft, the Pantheon would really open up for a 1-3-1 in the mid game. So I think it is still a smart ban nonetheless. And I'm kind of curious. I feel like Acidy is the kind of player where he would happily take his blind pick top here. But when you're talking about Renekton being open with the Nidalee, you could even say you take away the Renekton, you play it here, and you just kind of wait and see what support pick you play into. But Leona's made it all the way through somehow, so just going to see only 35 on that one. So talking about Nvision, you probably want a slightly safer support pick. I think Nautilus could be okay, albeit it's kind of a rough matchup into Leona, but it still gives you that point and click CC to lock down the likes of the LeBlanc. So I think it could definitely work with the bans that you've seen laid down here.
I mean,
Something
Thresh
like a
is still
Thresh?
open too.
Yeah, Thresh or a
yeah.
Braum possibly could be a really good choice
Braum
here, because you've got the Ashe, you've got all the projectiles flying your way. What you're missing is really heavy engage, which means that if Icebreaker bites the bullet here, that means Ornn or possibly a Sion. But I've not seen Icebreaker really bite bullets very often. I think he's trolling us here with the Maokai. That's not going to be the case. So we're looking possibly for even a Renekton coming in. Again, it pairs up really well together with the Akali and the Nidalee as well. It has a lot of flank opportunities. The Ergot here works too.
Yeah. I'm not sure how sold I am on the blind Urgot, but we'll have to wait and see. It definitely does mix up the damage profile a bit. And it's certainly a top laner you can play into. It has really scary snowball potential. So I think now looking towards Acidy, you don't really want to blind pick Ornn now. Or not blind pick Ornn, but you don't necessarily want to take Ornn into the Urgot. And I mean, we are going to see a tank option. It's going to be the Sion. And in all honesty, I kind of like it, because outside of the Urgot, Nvision are going to have a really hard time killing this boy. So I'll have to see whether Absolved get themselves set up for like a 1-3-1.
So the deal here is that LeBlanc can get prio much easier than Akali, at least in the earlier stages of the game, because range versus melee usually goes really bad for the melee. There's going to be a lot of pokes, and Nidalee is not necessarily going to do everything she wants to, even though she's a soft counter in the early game to the Graves. And if we go over to the top side, you said Acidy just likes to play his weak side top lane, and he doesn't necessarily die too often, which is something Icebreaker wants to do to his opponent. So I'm very sold on the Absolved draft here, because they have very powerful lanes on every single position, and takes it in only 35, have a very deadly bot lane with a bunch of CC that Pedersen is not necessarily going to be able to stop all of it.
Yeah, the draft is done, and we're heading over to our last best of 3 of the quarterfinals. This team will be facing on Dusty tomorrow. That actually takes the win, but before we know who that will be, we have to go to the caster desk. First, we're heading over back to Hiprain and Ox.
Thank you very much. As we're getting ready to go into our final best of 3 of the day, Nvision versus Absolved. We actually start with a very, very exciting mid lane, the Akali versus the LeBlanc. I'm really excited by this one, but there are a lot of things about this game that's actually really, really hypey. Shackle getting the Nidalee denied from him, taken by Music. When actually, I think Shackle, we saw a lot of Nidalee on the first week from him.
Yeah, I mean, Shackle's really been popping off in so far in the tournament, and I think this is again an opportunity where he can look to challenge. But you know, Nidalee has windows where she can really punish the Graves. It is kind of reliant on priority in your lanes, and in honesty, I feel like you might struggle to actually get that from Nvision. Mid lane, you're not going to instantly have priority. Top lane as well, Stan's actually pretty good at shoving the waves out, so we could see Music not quite getting as much momentum as we can, but it's going to turn out how the game, going to come to how the game pans out. Ultimately, I think both teams have a lot of tools, a lot of strength, and it really comes down to execution.
Question is where are they looking to execute? What's the early game plan for both of these teams? Is it similar areas? Is it different areas? What do we expect to see early in this game?
I don't think you really have a set point specifically within lanes that you want to necessarily play through. But the thing is, it's more about playing through the jungle. You know, if the jungler wants to find advantages somewhere, they'll play through a lane so that the lane can help them. And then they'll look to get themselves ahead. Graves and Nidalee both want to be clearing at a fast pace, picking up camps, picking up objectives, and maintaining pressure. So it kind of really just varies where they want to be on the map, where the camps are available. And I don't think there's a set lane they specifically have to play around. They have options, and I don't think there's any lane on either side that I would say isn't worth investing time into, except maybe a City's Scion. I think that's the only champion I'm like, you're probably not going to get too much value from trying to snowball a Scion.
Yeah. We did see that yesterday, and it didn't work. So,
yep.
My advice, let that Scion be. Icebreaker is, as this game going to get later, will be a real problem for Acidy. But Acidy should be able to clear out the waves as need be. Now, so we're having a blue buff start for Music here. We'll be able to clear out the ward. Actually, now just going to make his way over towards that bot side. So playing a little bit in the fog of war as much as possible. So he doesn't track early.
I think they saw him still. They pinged him out the movement away. So I think they kind of saw him just as a vision traded, walking away. So should be aware of where he's starting. You can see pings actually came out over here. So Absolved very much aware of where Music is starting, especially with their Pedersen and Cadaver being late to lane.
Question is Shackle going to pull any cheese off? Looks like he's not going to. Going to go straight forwards his Krugs as Eden gets a pretty decent level 1 proc in the Electrocute. Fairly easy for the LeBlanc in these early levels versus the Akali. Can just outrange and outpoke.
Yeah, Akali definitely needing her W at bare minimum to be able to farm safely. Obviously, can't really use your targeted Q on the Akali when she has that Shroud. I can sort of weave that in with her Qs to try and find some farm. Now you can see a bit of fight coming out bot lane to try and get this level 2. And Absolved actually got that bit, didn't look to aggress, so maybe a little bit concerned about the threat of the Braum. I'd say for this lane, I'm not a big fan of Jhin and Braum together. I think the combo is weaker than other AD carries.
Yeah.
But the reasoning here is clearly because of the Leona.
Yeah.
Braum, good matchup into Leona. Not many things are in the current meta, in all honesty. Leona is really seen as a strong blind pick at the moment, really powerful in lane, and provides a lot of engage. But Braum does a great job of stopping the AD carry from contributing. And also building up that stun passive. So when Leona's resistances have faded from her aftershock and a W, they can just turn around on her.
Yeah, we've seen a few times when you got the Jin with the Braum actually runs Hail of Blades just so he can kind of proc his passive as quick as possible. But this time going for the Guardian, wants to play the more safe option. And it does look like Acidy, after getting chunked out very heavily by Icebreaker, is about to get ganked onto. Tries to go for the flash away, gets the decimating smash. Acidy finds first blood. Oh, that was so poorly played.
Yeah, City not breaking ice, but he definitely broke his ankles right there. Looking for another dive on the other side, but Absolved wisely decide maybe trying to dive the Braum, especially when the Jin has cleanse. Not the best idea, and back away. I think Nvision kind of wishing they'd done that on the top side. We'll get a replay here, and the problem is this minion, this critical caster minion. The flip comes in, but the minion blocks the spear, and Acidy gets a chance to turn it around. I think even if the spear connected, I think probably would have seen Icebreaker die anyway, just from the tower, because he'd already used his flash to get in. But at least Acidy would have gone down and returned. I think the critical mistake here is, why are you flashing to look for an engage? He's under tower. What is he going to do? You know, if he runs out of tower, it's an easy dive.
Well, that's a bit of a scraps breaking out here. Only will get locked down by the collateral, by the... Oh, what's the name? What is the name? I forgot the name of it. I had a complete brain fart. Concussive blows. There we go. But while I'm trying to remember the ability names, I'll do trade up pretty okay there. And now Music looking for Acidy. Acidy able to dodge away on the flip as the spear once again gets blocked out by a minion. Looking for the charge this time. Is going to walk back into the shotgun knees, and Acidy will lose his life shortly. He's doing his best to keep himself alive as long as possible. Finally goes down and may hunt down Icebreaker, but Icebreaker's just going to play this safe. So Acidy will catch as much of the wave as humanly possible.
Just kind of put it in an unfortunate spot. I think actually the wave might be a bit too thin to freeze here. But no TP from Acidy means he's not in a great spot, and he is going to miss a fair bit of farm here. Do manage to take him down. He was really overextended there, and even with Music missing every spear that he possibly could, just the sustained damage from the autos and the Agot was enough to take down Sion.
So wave does get shoved in here in the bot side of the map. We do look at the mid. There is a small CS lead starting to build up for Eden over Twist. Kind of expected. Once that level 6 comes through, Twist may be able to handle himself a little bit better in this lane versus LeBlanc. Obviously, if you land that LeBlanc chain, you will reveal Twist within the W. And I believe this was actually the patch where LeBlanc chains got buffed, and they're actually quite strong at the moment, especially level 1. Was it this patch?
I can check.
Yeah, double check, because it was actually quite a big check. It was actually quite a nice buff to her. Some LeBlanc mains were actually maxing E first. I wouldn't advise it. I think W max is still better, but it was a pretty significant buff. It's next patch. Okay, cool. So be a normal chains from Eden for now.
You know, I don't actually think the buff is that big, in all honesty.
Oh,
I
think the buff actually feels to be a level 1.
Well, it's 10 damage initial and delayed, like if you land it, which is like, that is big, in all honesty. I don't think it's worth maxing because that's 10 flat damage. It's not like you get 10 every level you put in it. It's like you're getting 10 extra damage in your chains. I don't see why you would need to put points in it to benefit from that, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But the 20 extra damage on your combo early definitely is a nice bonus. But that's next patch, so unlucky for Eden, won't be a beneficiary of that right now.
Not at all, but we are seeing an invade coming in from Shackle, trying to steal away this blue buff, this red buff from Music as Icebreaker. Gonna get chunked out a little bit here. Music will just take the red buff from Shackle, so trades across the jungle. Does mean the map is now in a bit of a map split, and this does mean that Takesec can maybe look for something a bit more. Twist actually will get caught out by the chains. Eden gets the second chains in, and he's gonna go low. Only just connects in, and that will just be Eden with a beautiful kill there. Spear gets eaten by Only, but it's not going to be followed up, and Takesec quite happy just to hold the wave. Got no one nearby.
Really nice play, honestly. Good chains coming out from Eden, connecting both. Obviously means Twist can't really do anything. And then only 35 coming in with the E flash to follow up and just get that final bit of damage they needed. Shroud probably would have been able to save Twist if it was just the LeBlanc there.
Actually do lock Acidy down here. He charges away to safety as the exhaust gets used.
Yeah, they didn't commit too hard to that one. Pedersen definitely could have flashed in front of Acidy and blocked that ultimate. But instead they just choose to force the ultimate, force him away, Look to push this wave. Swap came out early to try and put priority towards his Herald, but if you actually look, Absolved aren't matching at all.
No, they're quite happy. In fact, they may just look to try and pressure up by taking some plates on this bottom side of the map. Icebreaker, very short range, remember, on this Urgot. Has got the Phage, so has a little bit of health to work with, but isn't overly tanky at the moment.
Yeah,
and I mean, with him out on the
with this CC from the Leon and the Ashe, you can't stun the tower. So you can see he's trying to walk away. Shackle will just be able to take this Krug. And is the power of the Scion is something we saw from Tricked, is the swaps you see from Scion. And one of the big reasons you frequently see people willing to put Scion in 1v2, 1v3 scenarios is because he is pretty bulky and he's great at clearing out waves. You just use Raw of the Slayer into Decimating Smash and he can very easily thin out a wave.
Yeah. And we did actually see 2 plates get picked up on the bottom side of the map as Asadi is on the receiving end of a potential dive here, but he fins the wave out pretty effectively. And this is what you were talking about. The wave's now gone and Takeset has matched all of the plates here for himself. As Icebreaker has to be careful. Caught out by the Zenith Blade, waiting for the arrow. The Solar Flare's flashed away. And Icebreaker flashless now is going to be able to deal with the wave, but
yeah, Icebreaker making a big mistake there. He E'd to try and flip Leona in the tower, completely whiffed it, and then ended up out of the tower range. He actually wasn't even under much risk of dying there, because just takes that 35 are not strong enough to kill him on the tower. But because he E'd out of tower range, that's when things got dangerous. So we have to flash back into tower. It's a little bit messy from him. I feel like it was kind of a bit of a bait from Absolved bot lane there, because realistically they couldn't have killed him. But we do see Nvision continue the pressure here with the Herald. The city, that tower is dying pretty soon.
Yeah, he's trying to stay around as long as possible, but he's got himself the Decimating Smash. He does have Shackle nearby, flashes away from the concussive blows as he gets knocked up, and they actually find themselves a kill onto Music. Absolved just hardcore outplaying that. Meanwhile, Icebreaker, he will lose his life. Twist jumps in with a perfect execution, gets the flip. The stopwatch keeps him alive, though, as Eden's making his way forward, looking for that chain. Not able to connect it, but Absolved are just completely running away with this one.
Yeah, well, the CC from the Ashe and the Leona is enough with the damage from the LeBlanc. But on the top side of the map, they're also able to defend, and critically, that tower is still alive. It's very low. The first tower blood yet to be taken by the start of Nvision.
Durson gets chunked out heavily as well here. That would have been very bad for Cadaver. Would have become a Cadaver if he stayed there. Somebody look back at this fumbled dive, though.
The problem is that the real play here should have been to focus the tower. But they get greedy. They go for the Scion instead of just finishing the tower off. Like, if you look at how low it is, if Music just walked up and auto-attacked the tower, it would have died. But Over coming in, getting a bit greedy. They don't get the tower. They end up losing a member. And then the bot side, this dive is great. Only 35 with aggro, and then perfect time on the stopwatch. And Twist has the second activation of his ultimate here. He could have killed only 35, but then he would have definitely died himself. And they could have ended up losing the tower as well. So a bit of restraint from Twist there was the right decision, but we've seen some aggression mid.
Yeah, Eden doesn't actually have the dash. Finally gets it. The Mimic's available as well. So as the exhaust comes down, Eden gets the clone. The Shackle blocks out the spear to make sure he survives.
Good play coming out from Nvision, but unfortunately LeBlanc is a slippery champ, so they're only able to get the flash. Blue buff going to be passed over to Eden as well, and Dragon spawning, so Nvision have good positioning on this, but the vision control isn't great. There's some red side wards, some Absolved wards spotting this out. And with the Hawk shot as well, they know this is going down, but the decision is made. They're not going to commit to this fight. And we'll just let this one go.
Yeah, we're going to let Asadi get some plates on the top side of the map, as we do have ourselves a pause. So hopefully find out what's going on with that one. But so far, I think Absolved have been matching every play Nvision have looked to make, and matched it a little bit better, a little bit more favorably for themselves. You got 92 CS on the Scion. He's got his Sunfire Cape finished up to 70 on Icebreaker. The Cole's still 35 minions away from cashing in. Stormrazor has been finished up onto Cadaver. He did get a lot of plates for himself, but I believe Takeset's probably sitting on enough gold to finish up that Blade of the Ruined King. So as far as those items are looking, pretty comfortable. Eden closing in on that Luden's Echo for himself, and that's a really, really big spike for the burst on the LeBlanc. So overall, if you're Absolved, you're sitting happy here. Sure, you gave up Herald and you lost a bunch of plates top, but the turret survived, and you got a kill when they tried to dive your top laner.
Yep.
Sure, you gave up that dragon, but it would have been a really rough fight. You probably would have lost the turret, and they got the first turret, the first dragon of the game anyway. So it's not like it's a stacking dragon problem they're playing into. Absolved are playing this smart.
I think they're making the right decisions. I think when you see these plays go out, Nvision's execution has just been a bit off. Absolved a lot cleaner. And as a result, we're seeing Absolved come out ahead with a 2,000 gold lead. This keeps continuing. It's going to become harder and harder for Nvision. I don't think there's a point in the game where I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, cool. Nvision at this point just going to win.
Yeah.
I feel like they actually get outscaled in a lot of areas. So could be a bit concerning.
Well, we are looking at an infernal map on this game as the fire spread and the terrain disappears. Makes it actually quite nice for the Scion, being able to cut through a few walls with his ultimate if needs be.
Less walls to faceplant.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, Twisty's going to take a lot of burst here. That should be the electrocute proc as well. Half health from Eden. Eden with a blue buff can keep this pressure up as well. As such.
The power of it. Twist not having a fun time in the lane. And now there really is Icebreaker. It's sort of getting towards the point where Icebreaker typically would spike. You know, if he has Black Cleaver, if he's at that level sort of 9 to 13 points or really strong for him. But he's so far behind the city, and the city's just too tanky at the moment for him really to do anything to.
Yeah. Especially that Titanic Hydra come through as well. Something we've seen a fair amount from our Scions. Means you have even more wave shove. Actually, it just gives you a massive spike in damage as well with the active on the Titanic. So it could get a little bit rougher for Icebreaker before it starts to get better. Which could make his life even harder for him. As unfortunately, we do go back to the pause. Still waiting for an update on what's going on. I'm assuming from the way we went back in and out of the game, it's probably just a little bit of lag. So normally these things don't take too long to fix.
Yeah, should hopefully sort out soon. But ultimately, Absolved are in control at this point of the game. And I think as much as we're seeing music with the lead in terms of CS in the jungle, it's kind of expected with the Nidalee. But just the plays that have been trying to be made haven't been so successful for the Nidalee. A little bit sloppy at times, a little bit messy. And Absolved have responded well. I think City is a very capable weak side player for the team. And that's kind of what they rely on him to do. He navigates these situations where he's in an unfavorable scenario pretty well.
Well, I did get an update from our producer. In capital letters, he wrote lag! So I'm assuming there was a little bit of lag going on. 12 minutes into the game, gold lead still in favor of Absolved. So I haven't really seen too many plays go down just because we've been in a few pauses. Got 3 minutes until, well, almost 4 minutes until that dragon. Twist is catching this wave underneath his tower. Don't think we'll see too many plates fall down before the end of this game, but they are looking for Icebreaker here. Able to jump away. Eden comes over the blast cone, and that is just going to be the end of days as Eden gets the pop, gets the kill. And they may look to scout the last couple of plates before the game's over. This may actually just be first tower blood to Absolve. There is a push in the bot lane.
Nowhere near.
It's going to be a lot slower from these two, so, well, these three. So, first tower blood is going to get picked up by Absolve. Good trade for them.
And you got to think about the mistakes in this game. You got to think about the fact that Nvision had first tower top lane. It was there, and they chose not to take it. Missing out on a ton of gold in that situation. And they will answer the tower here, but some sloppy play from Nvision, and Absolved are unrelenting. Looking to punish Icebreaker again with that 0-3 scoreline.
Yep. I'm fairly certain as well the plate fell off bot lane before they got that final plate. So a little bit less gold for them earned.
Things couldn't get worse, Jake. That's to rub the salt on the wound.
You know, you've been very optimistic today, uncharacteristically. I'm being a bit more pessimistic today.
See that
Balancing
also
it out.
uncharacteristic? Or
Uncharacteristic.
maybe we're just both pessimist all the time.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe you being slightly optimistic has really thrown me off today.
Yeah.
Well, another wave is going to get shoved in here, and with Acid, with Shackle, this tower's probably going to go. They got the Demolish procs as well, and that is a lot of damage thrown down. Kadavra's going to try and clear it out, but not a hope in hell. Icebreaker will answer out with the top lane turret, but in the bot side, you can see that Eden is shoving in this wave, and that turret's already low as well. So Absolved just trading up across the board here, and now they're looking for the Rift Herald to charge. Isn't going to quite hit onto music. Takes it. Does take a smash as he dodges out on some of the damage. The Curtain Call is going to get used, and that's going to force the cleanse out. Decimating Smash is going to go into a knock-up as the Glacial Fissure does come in. Enchanted Crystal are available, and the health bars are going a little bit low on Nvision. They decide not to pull the trigger, though. As they were a little bit worried about where Twists could be. Eden will answer out with a turret, so it's 3-2 in turrets at the moment. And Absolved very happy with that.
Yeah, I was at some very early ults. like the root connected from Cadaver, but then Icebreaker instantly ulted, and I just didn't think the damage was there.
Well, Shackle's looking for Pedersen here. Does have to jump out with the collateral damages. He's almost locked down. Cadaver finds the kill easy as. Bit over greedy from Absolved, and that could cost them the Rift Herald now.
Yeah, I was actually holding back on jumping straight into that fight because I was like, there's no way Pedersen dies here. There wasn't a way he dies there. Shackle clearly thought there was, though, and ended up going down for his trouble. So, a bit over aggressive on the side of Absolved jungler, but Nvision finding a window to answer back. 3,500 gold, though, is the deficit, so pretty substantial right now. And I think the main beneficiary, I'm looking at Eden. Eden hasn't really been involved with these past couple of scenarios. He's just been down pushing that wave in the bot lane. But we're now seeing a dragon in 25 seconds. And if Eden can find an opportunity, he can get a massive pick.
So he's going to clear out the wave a little bit for himself. Dragon up in 10 seconds, and everybody is on the map. Ultimate's almost fully up as well. Takes it should have his up in time if there's going to be a bit of a scrap. The charge is burnt by Acid. As soon as he gets it, his music shows his face top lane and Absolved. They're just going to start up the dragon and return.
Yep, dragon's just gone. Thinking they're playing the top side. Kind of sacrifices it, and we see that music decides to go for the Rift Herald as a trade, as a compensation. And that could be utilized in the middle for the mid lane tower, but right now it's really Absolved with the pressure advantage. You can see Davin Pedersen unwilling to step too much further up. He's gonna get spotted out. Should have time to get this. Yeah,
they're not even going to attempt to contest it. But
yeah,
as you can see on your map right now, or on your screen right now, this red side jungle is entirely Absolved.
And it's not like there's any counter pressure on the other side of the map. You know, there's no wards in Absolved's red side jungle to compensate. And in fact, music doesn't even get the scuttle crab. It's very defensive vision from Nvision, very aggressive vision from Absolved. And not only does it mean they can set up potentially for picks with the likes of Eden, but also they're just getting more farm. We saw music ahead of Shackle in terms of CS, but now Shackle's actually overtaken because he's now clearing even more quadrants to the jungle. He has an extra quadrant achieved for himself, and they are looking for Twist here for a pick.
Yeah, they are looking for it indeed. Chains are going to connect, looking for the second chain. There's the Q, and there's the flash. Twist is out. Ignite burn. Shackle takes a little bit of damage himself, but burning the flash on to Twist is really, really rough for him. Sassity gonna hit Icebreaker here. A lot of damage he's got to work with onto Icebreaker. Got that Tiamat, remember. Just popping him. He has the charge available. One last knock-up. Gonna just about miss, but he's chumming in. Slowing him down. As in charge of Crystallara goes a little bit wide, but Acidy, nowhere to go, buddy. The hammer comes down and boom, you are dead. Twist locked down instantly as he does glide back and locked down by the solar flare. Has that perfect execution if he wants to follow up a little bit more. Gets the gunblade slough and actually jumps away safely as the curtain call has been fired out, and takes that. Is the one receiving a little bit of hurt here as Pedersen jumps over the wall, and now he's getting chunked out. Absolved come out with the kill. Don't lose a single member.
I mean, the city is just so strong right now on this side, and he's way too tanky for anyone in Vision to really kill. And so they go for that play, but they just don't have the damage to deal with. Even only 35, feeling a little bit too bulky. Jin not great at taking down tanks. So they just have to back away. 4v3.
Well, as we're approaching the 20-minute mark, we can take stock of where we are item-wise. The Blade the Ruin King Hurricane finished up for Takeset. Luden's Banshees for Eden. Acidy got that Titanic and the Sunfire Cape. We look over on the other side. The only person who's running around with 2 complete items... Oh, there's 2, actually. It's Cadaver and Music right now. Got the Unholy Grail and the Runic with the Stormrazor and Rapid Fire Cannon, but everybody else is down an item.
Yeah,
I mean, reflected in the gold, 4,000 up.
Admittedly, she's doing pretty well in terms of gold compared to her counterpart, but these are cheap items she's working with.
Oh my lord.
Icebreaker.
He's getting so bullied. Twist is coming over. They are going to get the flip back, but Acidy is kind of feeling himself here. Getting that charge up fairly soon. The Fear Beyond Death may just be enough, but the knock-up from Acidy is pretty big here. Icebreaker goes down, and now Twist, I don't know if you're going to be able to do this.
Yeah,
Acidy does have the blast gun available, but he's got Cadaver coming about as well.
Way.
Gonna spot him out as Cadaver dodges away on the knock-up. Acidy will lose his life as the 4th shot is going to be enough for Cadaver to find a shutdown.
Actually, unfortunate. If City had gone over the Dragon Pit, he was out.
Oh.
So, a little bit of a poor route there, but we see Absolved looking for this Baron, but Shackle's taking so much damage. I don't think he can do this play.
Yeah, they needed only to tank it, but he was too busy trying to play the scouting game. Squires comes through. They know that they were on it, so they know they're probably low. And this might give them the opportunity to set his tower. They've got that Rift Herald down. And with everyone else on bases, should just be the end of the mid lane tower finally for Nvision. Takeset's going to do his best to trim the wave and clear out the Herald. He's not going to stop the charge though. And that's actually taking a lot of damage. 50 seconds until the Infernal Drake's up, and bases do come through for Absolved though. So looking to spend some of that gold and get himself back on the map. Same for Nvision. Now that they've been able to pick up that tower.
Okay, Dragon in 40 is the next objective. Would be 3 for Absolved, so a big hit if this is taken by them. Really puts Nvision in an uncomfortable spot.
Blue buff getting denied as well. Making sure they give that over to the crucial member. It's going to be Eden with a blue buff. As he'll go top lane to deal with this wave. Remember, hasn't got the teleport on LeBlanc. This is the kill lane LeBlanc with the ignite, so putting yourself on the opposite side of the dragon could be a little bit risky. Acidy almost got the charge available, and Absolved are having to play a little bit further back. They don't really have the vision on the river. And I think they're okay trading Dragon for Baron here. That's what they're doing. They're teleporting Acidy.
This is the thing. There's no threat. Nvision are so far away from the soul. They don't really care if the dragon goes over them.
The curtain call's going down. They're going to block it. They've got the teleport in. They're trying to see if they can close this out in time. The Baron is going to get secured. Deadly Flourish lands as the Fear Beyond Death is hit only 35. Able to dodge away for the moment. The Takeset is ripping through Icebreaker's health bar. Eden also low. Jumped onto by the perfect execution, but Takeset is just pumping out the damage. And Acidy running amok on the backline. Shackle's got himself a double kill already. Looking for Cadaver here. Jumps in. Looking for the triple. Can he quite find it? Cadaver gets himself out, gets a good heal, flashes away to safety, but Takeset's coming on the flank. Spear's going to get dodged out. Takeset slows music, has Eden as well to work with. They're going to cool it off there. They got the Baron. They only lost 1, and they killed 2. 3.
Yep, 3, 4, 1, and the Baron as well. They lose the Dragon, they don't care. They're going to push with this. Big win for Absolved here. And again, Acidy is just too tanky in these team fights. He's unkillable at this point, it feels. You need 5 members of Vision all hitting him to try and take him down. And Absolved really feeling comfortable in this game. We're now at an 7,300 gold lead. It's not quite 8,000, but it's pretty substantial.
You did what I did there. You looked at the big numbers and not the decimal point. See the gold difference over time reflected pretty heavily in the fact that they just got that team fight and a Baron zipping up a little bit more, along with a tower to follow.
Yeah, you see there's that little bit where it dips a bit, and that was kind of where Nvision found some momentum of return, and then it just spikes back up.
It's always really interesting looking at Goldgrass because you can see the moments where it lulls out and they play a bit of farming game, but it's still gradually climbing because they had control of the jungle or control of the wave, so they were just eking out a little bit more CS, eking out a little bit more gold, and they get the big spikes from those big team fights. Very interesting, even though it has been pretty much Absolved favored all game, they are still playing it smart. They're not over-aggressing, they're not playing it silly. And now we're Baron on a couple of members. Eden actually is one of the members without Baron, but he's still pushing in the side lane. Has now got only 35. Dancing between the mid and the bot lane.
Projectiles that come here from Eden. Eden does have the Baron.
Sorry, it was only who died with it. Yeah, sorry. Having a bit of a brain fart.
It's okay, I forgive you, Jake.
I'm glad you forgave me.
This time.
Oh no, Takeset. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah,
oh no, Takeset! Pulled him by the Fear Beyond Death, and that's a massive fear off. Flipping back Acidy, coming in with a charge. Gonna have to cancel that pretty quickly. Great block up from Pedersen there as he gets the knock up on the 2, but Acidy locked up, and he is just getting slowly but surely cut through. As the stun's gonna connect, the curtain call has been pulled down, and Acidy will lose his life. Absolved just getting a little bit too eager, a little bit too greedy.
You know what's the sad thing about that?
What?
It's just that, like, they kill the Ashe, and they're like, it's go time. And then they just see a city, and they're like, well, I guess not. And they just spend so long killing him. By the time they've done it, they've lost all the momentum in the fight, and they lose the tower on the bot side. Twisted, I mean, Icebreaker's dead.
I mean, I don't know who's fighting who. It's just a couple of 1v1s going at the same time. Icebreaker will lose his life to Shackle, though, as Eden pings back to safety. Twist maybe seeing if he can play a bit of tidy up here. They both try to spot each other out, but the perfect execution has now timed out for Twist. And with that, 2 dragons apiece, 2 minutes until the next dragon comes up. Absolved, able to take himself the 5th turret of the game. As we have a little peep back at this mid lane.
Texter has some great moves here, dodging away from the root, but he's just dead here. And you see Nvision like go time. We're ready to go with a big fear, but a city is just standing there. He actually ults and they have to disengage and they're like, right, let's try and take this guy down. But it just takes so long. It's like, okay.
He's still going.
No, wait, we got him. No, the shield. Okay, we got him. But at that time, look how far away the rest of Absolved is. They're gone. And he was literally, there is no other way to phrase it. A city is a brick wall. And he just completely stopped that team fight from going in favor of Nvision. Still obviously a favorable play, but it just slowed them down so much.
This is the power of having the Scion into something like a Jhin. Jhin's not known for being able to kill tanks. Icebreaker's job is to kill a city, but he's 2 and 7.
Yeah, I mean, Nidalee, Akali, Jhin. None of those are exactly tank shredders. It really only is Icebreaker who has good damage against the Scion. But again, he's short-ranged, struggles to get up close to the Scion because he gets CC'd, and a city is just so damn fed.
Yeah. He's so big. He's got a whole item over him. Got that locket back as well now. And Dragon coming up. Acidy will have his teleport in time. Icebreaker will not, and neither will Twist. So this actually means that Acidy can play to this top side a little bit more for this Dragon spawn if he wants to.
I think he's eyeing up the potential, but I think instead he's making the decision to look for a flank. He's actually coming in, but he should be spotted out on a ward.
He'd never ping back here as the spear gets dodged out. He's just chunking out music as much as possible, really.
It doesn't really do much, though. The Nidalee has a lot of healing with the Athenes as well, so should be able to just top up from that poke. But it's trying to find it in a scenario where you get the chains down and the rest of your team can follow up. But, I mean, look, a city walks in, they're like, nah, we good, dude. we out of here.
Boys. That's just 3rd Dragon picked up for Absolved. 1 away from that crucial Infernal Soul. 44 seconds until Baron's up as well.
Scandal would love this.
I know he would. This is Scoundrel gameplay.
This is peak Scion gameplay. And Scandal isn't even here to appreciate it. What a shame.
I don't know if Scoundrel the kind of Scion player that builds Titanic. I feel like he's the one that just goes full tank. Doesn't even go for the Titanic.
We should ask.
I know he's a WMAX Scion player. I know he's that guy. Oh. There's the locket shield. Charging to safety, and he's out.
Damn, they got him to half HP. Good job, guys. Yeah, I mean, still tricky to take him down. The ult makes him pretty safe to get away. Does mean he's without that, but cooldown is not very long at this point. But Nvision are going to take the opportunity to push up, try and control some of this vision in the Baron area. But looks like decisions coming in from Icebreaker to TP on top side. He wants to push that wave in. Then should be able to group up with the team once his ult is available once more.
Yeah. Closing in on that level 16 as well on the Scion, so max points in ultimate, max that cooldown. It's already on a fairly short cooldown at the moment. Already got half of it back. As the wave gets shoved in mid lane and top lane, the bot lane's starting to build up a little bit, so someone has to go answer that at some point. Looks like Twist is going to go potentially deal with it. Twist will have his teleport available in a moment, so Absolved, they're playing on a very thin time here. Whoa, narrowly dodging out on that spear.
Yeah, a little bit close, but, you know, it's fine. You know what time it is, Jake?
What time is it?
Items time. Infinity Edge completed for Take Set. Void Staff for Eden. We have the Last Whisper, the Cadaver on top of his Infinity Edge. He's picked up a fair bit of gold in the past few plays. Shackle, double lethality items, so quite a lot coming in right now.
A lot of damage. Also, survivability on Take Set is slowly closing in for himself, though. Got the ages, so building towards that Death Dance. And I love tank ADC meta.
Yes, what an item. Well, at least with the new items, there's no items that make you really invincible to kill as an AD carry. No, like, immortal shield bows or anything.
God damn.
TP coming in. Baron start by Absolved and Nvision looking to posture to try and clear them off this one, but it's getting low.
Yeah, it's getting very low. Music gets caught out, jumped onto stopwatches. Acid just playing on the front line is only looking to lock Twist down. Twist will get the ball back in as Acid flashes out. That's a big perfect execution. Shackle still healthy no to work and takes it firing away. Pedersen trying to slow him down, but he is just going to be melted through. Cadaver will be next up on the menu, but takes it against half health. Eden chasing over the wall, but won't be able to find his opportunity. It's an equal trade, 2 for 2.
I'm so sad. I saw that fear and I was like, it's go time. Come back from Vision. But it didn't have the follow-up. Weren't able to find anything more. Still too much threat from the 3 carries alive on the side of Absolved. And the end result is they have to back away with an even trade of 2 for 2. You can see Cadaver, though, starting to really output some big damage right now. If he can find the window to do so. Eden? I'm just fishing for him, but we'll get a quick replay of that fight. So here, they start approaching, and it's great moves here from Music. Gets done, stopwatch to block out the rest of the CC, flashes away. And in the meantime, they're just focusing down the 2 tanks from the side of Absolved, and then the flash fear from Icebreaker allows this follow-up, but the damage isn't there to follow up. Cadaver isn't in a comfortable spot, and he does get a big crit in here on a take set, but he's unwilling to step up when Eden and Shackle are there, which is the right decision. But it's just for such a huge fear to come out from Icebreaker, and for you to get an even trade, not a great feeling.
Not at all. I mean, he's 2 levels down on Acid. Acid now building towards his stone plate, which is going to make it even harder to cut through this Scion. We were talking about how they have struggles dealing with that, and feels like that's just going to get even worse as Ian's going to catch this wave in the bot lane. Dragon spawning up in 40 seconds, and I think we're in for another team fight in the next 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Control of the area has been given over to Nvision, though.
Would be sold for Absolved. What I will say is Lord Dominic's finished for Cadaver, and he has his core crit items. I don't think Acidi's nearly as invincible as he once was. You know, we're past that mid-game point where Tank's health bars seem infinite. Yes, he is bulky. Yes, he takes a while to take down, but Cadaver does start doing reasonable damage to him. So I don't think Acidi can play with quite as much aggression as he had before. But you can see right now, they are pushing up, getting control of the area.
For me, it's
trying to move in and respond.
For me, it's eyes on Eden. If he can kill Cadaver or at least force Cadaver out of the fight, then that's when Acidi is going to be at its strongest. So there's a bit of a pincer maneuver coming in. Dragon's been started up and Absolved. They want this. They want to get this. It's so big for their damage spikes here, but the collapse is coming down. Half health on to Dragon. This means no one's really willing to give it up. Shackle's going to get caught for the moment. Icebreaker's getting jumped onto. No fear this time. Down goes Icebreaker. The Dragon is going to be secured by the side of Absolved, and they can look to run away with this. His Twist is inside the pit, but he'll get taken out as Takes it, gets himself a double kill. Music and the Cadaver are on the wrong side of the map as Acidi is chasing Cadaver down. Over the wall he goes, but here is Eden. Eden pings back out, a little scared of what Cadaver can do to him. As Cadaver should just be able to get out of this one. Music as well, but Baron is being pinged, and that's where the attention is being thrown down.
Music looking for a steal, but is going to get spotted here by the fork shot from the Astro. Only 35. Nox going to look to play interruption. Eden has that role.
Eden will spot. Oh, he didn't spot him out there.
But he knows where he is by deduction now.
Yeah, there he is. There's the chains. Infernal Soul. Doing a lot of damages. Music dodging away on a bit of this damage here. And Music may...
Oh, the collateral damage
close.
coming in.
Oh.
Great play there from the side of Absolved, and honestly, unfortunate team fight. Cadaver just unable to get the damage off, threatened too much in terms of positioning, and Absolved take that one decisively. We'll get a replay here. So Eden and Takes that move to try and take out Icebreaker, but on the other side, Acidi, again, so much CC from him and only 35 just mean the rest of the team can't do anything, and then re-engage from Acidi. Cadaver has to flash out, and although he can start dealing damage to this tank Scion, he's not quick enough. He's not quick enough to assist his team, and they end up losing the fight before Cadaver has really worked through this side and started to hit other people on the team.
Now with the fact that they got Baron and Infernal Soul, it's going to get so hard for Nvision. These volleys are going to hurt. It is obviously the Nidalee, so it does have a bit of sustainability from the healing, but even so, can't heal everyone, and these volleys are going to hit a lot of people, and you can see how much damage Takes it's already doing. It's cutting through the wave like it's nothing.
Speaking of damage, 20 Magi stacks for Eden.
Oh, actually, it's going to bring Icebreaker in. He does get pulled over the wall. The Fear Beyond Death is going to pop here, but that's going to be a killing spree. It's a 1-for-1 so far, and Icebreaker, GA is burst. You get the flip back, but Acid will instantly land the knock-up. Shackle is unstoppable. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of Absolved. So Eden looks just to catch this wave in the bot side. Will take the Shuriken flip momentarily, but clears out the wave and actually now has used his jump, so he's going to potentially get caught out here. Twist looks to chase onto him, but Twist actually maybe a little bit too eager there, my dude. Spear's going to come down. Oh, Eden! That was so sexy.
The fade away and Absolved are just pushing down mid. Cadaver music to try and defend here.
Question is, I don't think they can as well. Takes it. It's just cutting through these towers like butter. The Nexus has been left exposed and 35 minutes on the clock. They're going for one last glory kill onto music just to seal the deal. Takes it, secures his 4th kill. 36 minutes on the clock. The Nexus explodes. Game number 1 to Absolved.
Cadaver trying so hard to make things happen in that game, but it just wasn't enough. A really strong performance from Absolved there. Good team play, knew where they needed to be in fights, but a City in particular on this Scion, playing weak side, didn't care. Gets targeted, gets dived, doesn't care. In team fights, just invincible. And it felt like, as I said, he was a brick wall for Nvision. They just unable to pass through him. And it meant that anytime they found those favorable moments where we're like, oh, this could be it, this could be the turnaround, it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, he was the health bar was a little bit too big. And with that, that is game number 1 over to Absolved. But remember, it is a best of 3, so there is a chance for them to ping back. We're going to throw to a quick break, and when we're back, we'll have our analysts just break that game number 1 down a little bit more. See you in a sec.
Am I wasting time? 'Cause I'm already gone. So long, can you stay the night? 'Cause you're the thing I want. I know you're feeling different when you're stressed out, but even with no makeup you still stand out. 'Cause no one makes me feel the way you do now. Like you do now. The way that you move your body, you make it look like a hobby. Every time that you touch me, it's electricity. Things we discovered underneath last night's covers. Everything came so easy. It's electricity.
Absolved take their first game in the best of 3 series against Nvision. And Trouble, we have to be fair, it wasn't the cleanest game of League of Legends we've seen so far.
Yeah, and I'm gonna grab it from the side of Absolved because they're the winners, and it just did not look clean at all. They had like 3-level leads on every solo laner. The Graves was ahead. They had the perfect 1-3-1 setup. They did the 3000 IQ big brain Baron, and then they just threw it all away. They gave basically, Nvision a chance to come back. They shut down the Ashe. They take down the Cyan. We saw a lot of fights going back and forth. It was very dangerous for a second, even though the gold was super large, the gap was large. It just didn't feel like Absolved were set in stone what their goals were this game.
Joanna, do you have the feeling that Absolved wasn't really taking over the wheel and just guiding the game where they wanted it to be?
Yeah, I think like Trouble says, they had such a big lead, gold, map state, game state. No one could really match the LeBlanc on the side lane from maybe 15 minutes into the game. Like, it was a really, really bad position for Nvision to be in. And they kind of put themselves in it from pretty much the get-go because of the top lane dive, which that is on the drawing board, which I'm hopefully going to be able to get to in a sec.
Yeah, let's go straight to that drawing board right now, because, that kind of opens up the entire game. It puts Nvision in that really awkward position where you don't want to be, and you give up a kill for no reason.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in two minds about this dive. Now, I think it's very apparent that Nvision from the start of the game are probably looking for something like this because of how Icebreaker's been laning, right? You can see how aggressive he is up the lane. He knows that Shakao started on the top side and is likely to have started pathing towards the bottom side. So this is why we're seeing Icebreaker lane the way that he is. That being said, Nidalee is pathing up towards the top side. Now, my small nitpick for this dive, and it's somewhat subjective, is I really feel like Nidalee has to skip out on blue here, skip out on Gromp, and make an immediate beeline towards the top side. She has to be here. Okay, all right, I've clicked on the wrong line, but she has to be here waiting as soon as this wave crashes so that they can just make this dive happen, and they'll kill Acidy 9 times out of 10. I can start playing the clip now. I hope. Okay, had to start from the beginning, but doesn't matter. It's only a couple seconds out. And yeah, I feel like Music has to skip out on the blue here. I'll fast forward it to the dive, and they crash the wave here, and Music's still not here and ready because they could have realistically pulled the trigger whilst the wave is here as it is, but Music, he stops for the blue buff, and now he's on his way. But it's kind of like, okay, Acidy's been able to farm all of this CS, get all of the experience, and then it's just out of sync from here. We get the flash forward from Icebreaker, and Music's kind of in a weird angle where you can see he has to throw a spear from this direction, and Acidy's going to end up roughly where Icebreaker is at the moment. And I'm not too big on angles and maths, but you can see the spear doesn't connect. And realistically, I think the spear wouldn't have even connected whilst Acidy was stunned either way. So it just seems a little bit out of sync. I feel like they had to sort of update their plan to make this dive happen and say, okay, I should just skip over the blue buff. Icebreaker has to probably make a call and say, Music, I need you here when this cannon wave crashes so we can actually kill Acidy. But sort of, I wouldn't call it greeds for the blue buff, but decides to take the blue buff, isn't there when the cannon wave is crashing. Acidity manages to level up, and then he also soaks a bunch of XP, and we see that very botched dive occur.
Still, I felt like Trouble that Nvision had potential to actually take that game away, and it was mostly, once again, because Absolved wasn't really pushing the lead that hard.
Yeah, it felt like after Absolved took the Baron, they sort of grouped up and then they left Ashe right in the mid lane where she could get picked off. She did get picked off, shut down by Icebreaker on that Urgot. You know, you give a little bit, a few glimpses of a comeback to a team that has something like an Urgot, something like a Jhin tools that can go right. And we saw the Jhin actually pop off at some minute, but then we're like, Pepe, you're gonna be playing against a Sion and a Leona, and you're a Jhin. So does it really matter if you're fed? No, it doesn't. And that was the end of the story right there. So I would have to say the dives and in general, all the aggression has to be a little bit more calculated from the side of Nvision if they want to get Icebreaker ahead. We can't know whether it was Icebreaker's fault or Music's fault. It felt like the communication was lacking nevertheless. So I think once they fix that, they'll be pretty good to go.
Yeah, even though there is a 1-0 lead on the scoreboard, it feels like this series can go either way. We're heading over to break, but when we come back, we're going to head in straight to the second game of the series between Absolved and Nvision.
Ain't I mistaken? I've been here before. All my body is aching, shaking to the core. Wherever you go is a heaven, 7/24. Now don't go be misbehaving, but I'm craving a little more. Can't keep my thoughts inside. Don't want no place to hide. Can't get you off my mind all night and day. You always played it cool. Oh, but I ain't no fool. I know you feel it too. So what do you say? Well, I'ma give it a try. Baby, don't let the summer go by. Baby, no, I don't wanna say goodbye. Baby, baby, we should give it a try. Why don't we give it a try? Ain't no mistaken, I'm taken with you. Oh, my body is aching, awaken anew. Oh, I think I'm in heaven it's true. Now don't go misbehaving, but I'm caving over you. Oh, can't keep my thoughts inside, don't want no place to.
Welcome back to the NLC follow-up, where we are in the middle of pick and ban in the second game in the best of three between Nvision and Absolved. And once again, it is Lee Sin that is going to go straight into the ban from Nvision, Jamada.
Yeah, and also going to see the Respect LeBlanc ban. They don't really want to deal with it. And I wonder whether Absolved are now going to respond with an Akali ban. Like, just seeing the LeBlanc out there, whether it's like Nvision are just outright saying, okay, we don't want to play versus champion, or it's we want to set up for Twist to actually have a successful Akali game. And at the moment, we are just going to be seeing the GP followed up by that and Absolved. I mean, ball's in your court. They've banned out the Lilia. We still have a bunch of the other S-tier junglers available, but they just say, okay, if we don't have LeBlanc into Akali, we might not have anything else to play into it successfully. So now, I mean, you've got the Graves, you've got the Nidalee. We saw the Nidalee last time. Wasn't too sold on it. That being said, despite the botched early dive, he still did pick up a lot of pace in terms of XP, but didn't really amount to much at the end of the day. So I really want to see some change in style from music once we actually do get into game.
So right here, we also have to say that the drafts were not necessarily the problem. It was mainly the execution and the goal of both teams and how they just didn't stick to it, even though Absolved was closer to. That's why they were able to make it. And I really liked how music was moving around the map. He wanted to play towards top side. And I feel like this is, you know, the gist of things if you want to play in a team with Icebreaker, because he can't hand you the victory. And you also have Twist with the more aggressive picks. Now, being banned as Akali, I was about to say the last one was Lucian. Now you put in the bin the Akali, which means the Lucian comes out. And what is the reply from Twist here? Because Syndra was alright, we saw in the previous best of three. He was able to go against the Lucian, so that could be something for him. Orianna is another thing, but then you get stuck again in that mid-jungle duo with both AP profiles. A Hex Drinker of the Lucian could possibly solve that.
Yeah, but they opt here for the Ashe. Is that a pick you're happy with, Jamada?
Yeah, I was thinking, you know, you either go back to the Ashe or you take the Jhin, but following last game's priority, they wanted, okay, right, we'll get to the Ryze pick in a second.
Fast.
Yeah, it seems like they just wanted to stick with the Ashe. They didn't have no problems with it, and they felt like they're okay dealing with Kadaver's Jhin. And now this is what I wanted to get to. I was expecting that they might actually go on to Shakal's Eve, because it's been banned so many times. Now, I think once you've got it with the Lucian, you've also got the Ashe for the scouting. You can throw out Ashe arrows to the side lane. You've set yourself up for a really powerful 1-3-1 where Eve can sort of lurk and sort of shadow the Lucian in the mid game. Now, talking about the Ryze a little, that's going to be very scary for the scaling side of things. And I'm actually uncertain about how scaling is on the side lane when you're talking about Ryze and Lucian. But normally when you mention Ryze, it's going to be in his favor.
Okay, I have a thought. I'm seeing 3 squishies on the side of Absolved. 2 of them very mobile, Evelynn and Ashe, excluding Evelyn's ultimate. Icebreaker, typically a very aggressive AD-oriented top laner. Could we see a Lebwipo special bringing out the Rengar? This was my thought process. He can completely take out Lucian of the fight, he can zone away Ashe, and he can always give you input on where Evelynn is heading.
Yeah, because chances are there that they might pick up the Leona here. That's what they did last game.
Yeah.
They picked the red for the Leona. I think they'll do it again. Would a Rengar pick work into that then?
I mean, in theory, it certainly could. We saw at Worlds, though it was the jungle matchup, we saw Rengar as a response to Evelyn to sort of keep Evelyn in check. We are just going to see only 35 pick up the Nautilus though, so a lot of lane prowess in the bottom side. And I mean, you could maybe expect something like a Tom Kench, something like really, really safe. Looking at some of the support bans, it's one of the few things that is up. But you do also have Leona has been left, so I guess you just go after Leona instead. And now, yeah, like Trouble says, you kind of want to balance out the damage profile of your composition here.
Do it. You're missing AD.
I've seen him do it, but at the same time, I feel like you could just go Renekton and you achieve almost the same thing minus the tracking of the Evelyn. So, I mean, we saw the Urgot as the blind the last time. I wasn't too sold on it. This is an icebreaker special. Awesome. Will he do it? Blind.
No,
That's the question. You would have to have some cojones on you to go for a Darius in this kind of situation. So I like the Renekton. I think that's perfectly fine. And now, if you ask it, you have to find something really damn safe. There is the Ornn, actually, which you could just reliably take. But it will be very hard to survive a dive at level 3. After that, though, things can get a little safer for you.
Trouble, how do you feel about Nvision's draft?
I'm just not sure about the Ryze at this point. I do like the rest of it. Again, they want to play towards top side. The thing that I like about Ryze, though, is the fact that he's sort of like a budget discount Twisted Fate, where he can get from lane to lane quite quickly with his ultimate. So again, I do think they want to play towards Icebreaker. This time it's going to be, you know, much faster. The Akali never took off. She never left lane. She wasn't allowed to. The Ryze, whether he's allowed to or not, he does have the wave clear. He does have the ultimate. He can play a side lane. Absolved, though composition looks extremely scary. A lot of hard engage, mixed damage composition. They're looking locked and loaded.
Short answer, Jamada, is Music going to be forced to play around the top lane again?
He's got multiple answers. I know you asked for he's got multiple choices. I know you asked for a short answer. I think realistically, we're going to just see him path towards the Renekton lane. And then maybe after Icebreaker's gotten going, then we might see him start playing around the bottom side.
Yeah, Absolved are leading the series, and they are one game away of making it to the semis. Can Nvision stop them in a game 2? We'll have to find out as we head over to the caster desk to hit Brain and Ox.
Really is the question. Can they stop them from getting 2-0'd? Have Nvision got what it takes to be able to pull this one off? Now, we are looking at the Nidalee Renekton top lane. Was asked on the desk whether or not they expect to see that go top lane. It is a pretty good lane to go for those early dives. It's a bit like that Renekton Elise combo that you talked so much about, Orcs. So is an option to them as well. So I feel like Nvision are giving themselves better tools this time.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's the modern day Renekton Elise in terms of diving. The point and click stun for the Renekton means at least the Nidalee can easily follow up. So really strong duo. They've got good scaling options in the Jhin and the Ryze. Ryze not going to have too much pressure against Lucian early, so bit careful there, but I actually really like this bot lane matchup more than anything. Leona, a good matchup into Nautilus, and 2 games in a row, Nvision have had good matchups in terms of supports, but this time, Jhin and Leona are much stronger combo, I'd say, than Jhin Braum. And honestly, I feel like Nvision, if, you know, they have to win this game, obviously, if they lose this, are out, but these are the tools they need. If they don't win with this composition, you know, they are going home, but this is as good as it's going to get.
This is as good as it's going to get as we are taking on to the Rift for game number 2. Nvision are on this blue side. Absolved on the red. Acity was a brick wall in game number 1. Game number 2 got the Ornn, does a similar thing. Obviously, does have good scaling for his team, being able to upgrade some of those items. Sorry. We'll have to see whether or not Acity gets so far ahead like he did last time, or if they're going to be able to deal with him early.
I don't expect, like, I feel like Sion does so well on these weak side scenarios. They're not going to quite have that much strength. And obviously, Ornn offers a lot, don't get me wrong, but I think Sion specifically versus City is a really solid champion and is able to fend off attacks in the top lane quite capably. I'm a bit concerned here because I feel like Renekton Nidalee should be able to apply a lot of pressure here. And realistically, although there's a Lucian mid for Absolved, I don't think Elise, why do I keep saying Elise? I don't think Evelyn is the best utilizer of that pressure in terms of being aggressive. She loves having that pressure mid lane because it allows her to get to level 6. But before that, I don't think Shackle is going to be doing that much. So really, I'm looking at music pre-6, make things happen, get your team ahead.
Alrighty, well, we'll keep our eyes on that now. Shackle starting up on the red side. Same for music. This does mean that music will be clearing upwards. So we could see an early potential dive. Or an early gank at the least. They don't even have to go for the dive if Acid pushes too hard. Although Icebreaker will get to the wave first, though. Should set up for an early push.
Should do indeed. The ideal goal is you hard push this in and let it bounce. And then you can freeze in front of your tower and just put a city in a really bad spot. So that's what Icebreaker's done here. This wave will end up bouncing back towards him. Actually, the tower doesn't quite connect with the minions.
Ooh.
So Icebreaker gonna have to push another wave in.
It's actually quite nice for Acid.
Yeah, it does take a lot of damage. Takes a lot of damage soaking the minions for that bit. But honestly, this is probably better having the second wave bounce come in.
I've got Shackle nearby, but Shackle's only level 2, so not in particularly the strongest position right now to go for a gank onto Icebreaker. Just going to head his way down. Matching currently music on his clears. Music has done 3 camps. Shackle's just starting his third, so he's a little bit slower, but it is a Nidalee. We do expect that from Nidalee, one of the champions that do. It does just clear through the jungle exceptionally fast.
Yeah, this Icebreaker only really last hit at this point, but again, wave will just end up pushing in. They may just keep the wave in this position and look for a dive, actually, rather than having it bounce out, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I think it's a bit too slow now if you want to try and get him to overextend and freeze under your lane, under your tower. So, as he has burnt a fair amount of mana, keep in mind, does have the Biscuit to recover a bit of mana. Ornn's abilities early do cost a lot of mana for him. Once you get that Catalyst, it gets a little bit easier to handle.
The priority achieved by Eden in mid lane allows him to move down and help Shackle out. Put him in a good spot. Yeah, City just going for a pretty aggressive trade.
Yeah, I think he's okay with that, though. He's doing all right. He's got that Biscuit to chug as well. Looks like music actually probably not going to be able to make any play towards his top side because I think Acidy's played very well to cover that. As Spear's actually going to get eaten by the minion once again. Music looks for that big spear and it just gets soaked up by a minion but walks out in front. And this means Eden is going to be able to survive that gank. There is an invade going down from Shackle on the other side. Maybe look and see if he can take away a camp or two.
Well, he could look for the rise in the mid lane. It was actually a really nice setup from Twist, though. He E'd the minion, it bounced to Eden, and then he waited for Eden to step up to go for that route. And it's another champion that has point and click CC. We have the Renekton in the top lane, we have the Rise in the mid lane. Obviously, a little bit harder for Rise to do it because he has to E then W. Long time since he's just been able to instantly root off his W. But even so, landing someone in that CC allows for an easy Nidalee spear, as long as there are no minions getting in the way, as we've seen a couple of times in these 2 games.
I feel a bit sorry for music at this point. I'm fairly certain the minions are just out to get him.
It does seem that way. Huge wave crashing in here, but fortunately, Evelyn not really in a position where she's going to be able to do anything with this, so Cadaver should just be able to pick this one up. And the recall as well. It's one of those frustrating things that it's so annoying when someone stops your recall, but I mean, it's a good play and you should do it, but it just feels very cheesy when someone...
It is the worst. You're like looking in the shop, like, right, I'm going to get this, and then I'm going to get this, and then, oh.
The worst is just we have those moments where they keep chasing you and chasing you and chasing you and stopping your recalls.
And they're not going to kill you. You know they're not going to kill you. No, they're not going to commit for it, but you can't recall. You physically can't leave.
The worst was like playing against Kai'Sa in Earth. And obviously it's Earth, but like I had to go to my tier 2 tower because she just kept spamming W's at me whenever I tried to recall. It's so annoying.
At least in Earth you have the cannon though to get back into lane. So
true, but you have to get back.
Bit of time on the recall.
You have to get back to base.
Yeah. It's easier to get back to the lane than it is to the base. Acidy's done a really good job, actually, to kind of eat a lot of this early pressure from Icebreaker, holding the wave here for a very long time. Shackle will be spotted out on this ward as chickens were taken out by music. And the fact that he's got the pressure in the top lane, not really much Shackle can do about that. Shackle obviously just wanting to farm up to this level 6, got the Amp Tome, got the Chilling Smites to work with. The crab spawning up on the bottom side of the map, so Eden has to be a little careful here. Twist could look for him. Gets rooted up, able to dodge away on the spear. Has the culling, has the flash. Eden going a little bit low. Now going to force to use the cullings. Another spear goes wide, and Twist and Music take a lot of damage from that culling.
Just wait for the root. Just wait for the root before you throw the spear. It's that simple. Come on, Music. Pick a niddly. You gotta hit some spears. I feel like at this point, though, Shackle pretty close to level 6. Icebreaker really hasn't done much to him in the top lane. We're kind of getting to the point where Ornn's feeling a lot more comfortable, and Shackle will be able to participate in the game.
Yeah.
And yeah, City's handled this weak side king. Wave basically frozen under his, just in front of his tower for the whole laning phase. Icebreaker unable to really trade with him heavily, and Music unable to do anything. So handled
Honestly,
perfectly.
Acidy is the weak side king. 2 games in a row, he's been forced into weak side. Last time, he definitely made a better situation of it, but that was more down to some fumbles. This time, not letting the opportunity happen, not even going to risk it. He's just playing it so well. He's down 9 CS. Gone up a little bit since then, but he's just fine. He's on the Ornn, he's starting to build up his items. He's starting to get a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more tanky. Pretty at the moment and chunked out pretty heavily by Icebreaker, but Icebreaker's also pretty low. And look who's now making their way over. Now that they are invisible, Shackle, seeing if he can find Icebreaker. Icebreaker is going to back off, and Shackle, playing this so well. Waiting for that Crocodile to overstep. As Acidy just holding the wave here. Icebreaker hasn't got teleport.
I think... No, he's going down to pick up the fruits. Shackle doesn't know this, though, so maybe assumed he's backed off. Could take a big loop around again. He's going to see him pretty
Icebreaker
soon.
definitely smells something's up.
I mean, he's looking for a city right now.
Yeah, he is. There's the Dominus popped. Acidy does have flash, remember, so he can use this. Music's on his way over. Holding the flash. Shackle actually takes the spear, and first blood's picked up by Icebreaker. Music flashes in forward, looking for the execute. Shackle's burning down, and that will be the kill for Music. 2 kills for Nvision on the top side of the map.
Finally seeing some proactivity coming in from Nvision. A bit later than I would have liked, but you can see Icebreaker here just able to decimate a city. Low enough on HP that this initial trade is enough that a city knows you can't fight back. He goes for the E, but here the flash Q just essentially pops him, and then the spear lands from Music finally. He gets the combo down. Shackle does flash away, but it's too late at that point. Should have flashed sooner. But both Shackle and the city getting caught out a little bit there and punished heavily, and now Music can quickly transition this into a Herald.
Yeah. Maybe looking to try and put some more gold into Icebreaker now, as Icebreaker was able to get that kill. Absolved are starting up the Dragon on the opposite side of the map, so they are going for a cross-map play at least.
Definitely won't complain about that, but Nvision, it's looking better. It's looking better already. Good start for them. Just need to continue this momentum.
Red team has slain.
In the meantime, Leona is just vibing to her music.
It's really nice.
Is that your sort of jam, Jake? Is that what you listen to?
It's very Avatar: The Last Airbender, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Like, you know the music they play at the end of an episode, like especially when
Yeah.
it's a sad episode.
When it's all like the calm moment at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
It's very nostalgic, that sound. Even though it's like not the tune, it is very nostalgic hearing Leona play like that.
Eden's just gonna come on the wave mid and go for a reset. Other than that top lane play, it's been pretty slow, which has given Shackle the window to get to these later points, but Music is starting to apply a fair bit of pressure here. Shackle low on HP. Ult is coming up soon, though.
Yeah, question is who does this favor? The slower, kind of farmier game? Who's going to be coming out the better for this?
Honestly, I think it's kind of hard to say. For me, I think Absolved probably have the edge on this one. But I don't think it's that clear cut. And you can see that now Nvision is starting to put more pressure down. It's like, for me, Ornn really strong. You know, Lucian, Ashe, really powerful in the later stages. But it's like, on the other side, Ryze and Jhin are big threats. So, but I think the main thing is the fact that Icebreaker and Music not finding early pressure is a big thing. But now they are. They are finding that early pressure. And Icebreakers really running away with the lead. They can just throw down the Herald top and they get first tower.
Yeah, and I mean, Music just zoned an entire topside jungle camps off Shackle. Shackle got none of those topside camps. Music got all of them, and reflected in the CS lead. Actually looking not to go for the Herald here, as the replay was interrupted by Acidy. So let's play it a little bit more slow for the moment.
I guess the decision making is that they don't even need the Herald to apply pressure to that top lane tower, and instead they're going to look mid, potentially. But I feel like the quick gold influx and then reset and look to apply pressure with a large amount of gold in the pocket would have been valuable. I think Icebreaker potentially could have just got straight up Black Cleaver if they'd taken that first tower. So, you know, pros and cons. We'll see how they utilize the Herald, though. It's clearly a decision not to use it there. We'll see if there is a bigger payoff.
Acidy's going to get himself a plate as he charges away from Icebreaker. Icebreaker then just gets a massive chunk onto him, but Acidy's going to be okay.
To help Shackle secure this. 3 members on the top side. They're heavily leaning here, but they will be spotted out. In the meantime, Music just on the bot side clearing up some camps. There's nothing really for Absolved to take here. There's no Herald. They're not really in a position to threaten the tower, so won't be able to really get anything off the back of this.
There's no dragon either, though, so at least they're not kind of giving up pressure on the other side of the map. 2 minutes until that comes up. We do take a look at where we are item-wise. The Rod of Ages finished up for Twist, got 1 stack on it, and a tier working his way up. The Manamune has been finished for Eden, while the Blade the Ruin King on take set. Components here, then top side for Icebreaker, but that's kind of fine. He had to buy the Tiamat early to get that lane prowess. So he's got a lot of strength to work with. And looks like these teams are now trying to nestle some kind of control on this bottom part of the map so they can get in for an early dragon. The Riftail's going to get summoned up here mid lane, and Eden does have to be careful. Solar Flare available from Pedersen, got the flash to lock him down as well with Zenith Blade if needs be, and they are just going to get the charges. Eden actually dashed into that spear. Don't think they're going to go for the tower dive, mind you, so just going to get some plates here in the mid lane as only roams over to try and help a little bit. And Acidy just going to do his best to try and clear out this wave, try and not give up too many plates. Take set should be able to get himself a plate on the other side. Pedersen has been spotted out, and they're TPing him behind Take Set, so Take Set might be in for a bit of trouble here. Has got the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, flashes away. Icebreaker comes in as the Solar Flare connects instantly into the cleanse, but it's too slow. Take Set's taken down. Acidy's looking for the bounce house, though, as everybody's inside. Shackle goes out with the last caress, but it's not quite enough to get the kill yet. They have taken down Cadaver. There's the culling. Here's the cleanup. Twist is all alone as Shackle's looking to get the charm onto him. Twist flashes out, and it's not going to be over the wall, but Music lands a spear onto Eden, and Music is bopped up and taken down with a stopwatch. Music is still alive, but there's the hook. Twist is getting the bounce as Shackle will lose his life. Twist somehow finds himself the kill, and Absolved looks so scattered in that fight.
Twist looking great in these comp fights, getting so much repeated damage off on this rise. Initially, it felt like it was a bit of an overreach from Nvision, and Absolved answered back in force, but that final little play coming out from Twist, the bouncing, turned things in their favor. So this is a heavy commit on a take set. You can see that only 35 here, trying to stall them out and delay for as long as possible, but eventually Take Set goes down. But Icebreaker taking so much damage, and then this combo here, the Ornalt into the combo from the Evelyn, the knock-up to follow up, really just puts things heavily in the favor of Absolved. They clean up 2 kills there, and that should be it. That should be fight 1. 4v2 should be over. Twist even failing the flash, but then Music comes in, chunks out Eden, and just watch this repeated AoE damage coming down for the Rise, getting so much value in these close proximity fights.
So much damage out there, but as we head back onto live, Swapper's come out.
He was spotted.
They spotted Evers. Icebreaker's looking for Take Set. Take Set does get the slowdown, but he's locked out as the teleport's coming in. They're not going to save him in time. He's going to try and sustain it with the Blade of the Ruin King. Gets the Ash Arrow. Eden comes down. Eden's trying to get it. Take Set still alive. Icebreaker finally takes him down. They lose the dragon in the meantime, and Icebreaker's doing so much work. They have a hook. They have the damage. Icebreaker heals back up, and the culling is there. That is a lot from Icebreaker, though. Some serious healing. And meanwhile, look at the bot lane. Look at the mid lane. They're just using everything to deal with Icebreaker. And Nvision are taking everything elsewhere. Acidy gets flashed onto. Solar Flare, Deadly Flourish. Asha, he's dead.
4 members top to get 1 kill, and it's a 1-for-1. It takes that. I mean, we were showed the vision by our observers. He saw Renekton go into that brush. Still decided to step up. His Ash Arrow, he used it as soon as it came up, and still it wasn't enough. Just Absolved really really a bit messy there.
Yeah, very sloppy by Take Set to be caught out. This is what we've seen from him. When he's ahead, he looks incredible. He looks bloody good. But when he's behind, he just makes these positional mistakes, and it's a continuous thing from him where he either looks really far ahead or he just looks very questionable.
Icebreaker doing some work though on this Renekton.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing, if he finds backline access, he will decimate.
Got an 1,800 gold lead over Asadi at the moment.
See, there's a pretty
So
big
far.
gold lead in the mid lane as well, even with 3 kills on this Lucian and a substantial scarce advantage. So this Lucian is becoming difficult to deal with. And there may come a point where he can just become a problem in the side lane that can't really be answered. But they are looking for a city right now.
Asadi bringing everybody up. Asadi flashes away, has the Call of the Forge God if needs be. Waiting for Take Set. Can he get the redirect? He can. They're following out with the Ash Arrow. Here comes the bit of a turnaround as the last caress will secure the kill. Pedersen jumps onto Take Set. Take Set's getting jumped underneath the tower by Icebreaker, and they can't keep him off the Ash. It's just mop-up city for Nvision.
And again, Lucian's strongest member on the team, not there for the fight. They try and turn things around, but aren't successful. Gonna take another one down too, and it's a huge win there for Nvision.
I'm speechless coming out of game number 1. Absolved looks so strong, and they come into this game and Take Set is just getting repeatedly caught over and over again. I mean, we look at this.
So you can watch this, right? So a city is getting engaged on, and they could have just let him go, but they commit to the fight here. They go for twist, but then Take Set ends up being a little bit exposed. Pedersen with some great engaged CC, and Shackle, I'm not really sure where he's going, but you're not getting out of that one. The reaction is just too strong, and ultimately they could have just let the Ornn go, or at least played a more defensive game, but they went very aggressive. They challenged them in a team fight, and again, Lucian wasn't there. They need Lucian if they're going to be winning these fights. He has the most, well, he had the most gold in the game prior to that. I don't think that's going to be the case anymore.
No, probably not at all. Is able to take
1,000
a turret.
gold lead.
Is able to take a turret at least for his team, but that is it. Really questionable stuff coming in from Absolved into game number 2, and Nvision bouncing back hard after that first game. 18 minutes on the clock, like you said, a 6,000 gold lead. 1 dragon apiece, so Absolved can take solace in the fact that there's not going to be an early Mountain Soul coming through, but it looks like they're probably going to have to give up the next couple of Drakes at least. Try and buy themselves some time, some space in this game, but the Rift Herald is down on music, so we'll see where he decides to use that. All of the tier 2 turrets bar mid lane have fallen.
A lot of damage to structures, a lot of gold in the pockets of Nvision as a result of that. You see reflected in the items. The Storm Rays and the Rapid Fire for Cadaver. Seraphs and Rod of Ages stacking up nicely for the Rise. And an Icebreaker with the Titanic and the Black Cleaver. Pretty tanky, but also dishing out so much damage.
He's doing a lot of damage, and he's got a level over Asadi. Asadi, 1 level off getting his upgrades, but he hasn't even got his second item yet. He hasn't even got that Abyssal Mask finished up. And obviously wants to try and get the Might of the Rune King onto Take Set, or even the Molten Edge onto Eden. And it's going to be a while. He's got 2 levels to gain before he can do that.
Absolved, it was just a series of making bad decisions, taking some rough scenarios, and Nvision ready to fight them in all of these. But a lot of these plays, Absolved opted into. They went, yeah, we can fight this, we can do this. When they could have just backed away and looked for a better scenario, particularly one with Eden there, I think is a critical thing for me.
Yeah.
Dragon is spawning up, and this is just gone. Nvision taking this one. Their vision control way too good in the area. Again, as you said,
you can test that.
yeah, it's not a big concern, it's not a problem, but it is definitely gone.
Icebreaker just going to shove this wave in. Eden going to catch it on the bottom side. It's going to be the end of that dragon. And I think if you're Absolved, you just play this a bit chill now. You farm up, you wait for some item spikes to come in, and then try and contest. Try and alleviate some of this gold pressure. Obviously, the real issue is the potential for an early Baron. They've got a very fed Renekton who can tank this, and with the Jhin and the Nidalee and the Rise, you will be able to take it down fairly quickly. Shackle maybe thinking about jumping onto Twist, but instead it's just going to settle for the Scuttlecraft to make sure that he denies that. Realm Warp's going to come in, and Shackle has been spotted out, so he last caresses away. As the curtain call does go down, and Shackle able to jump away to safety. So we'll take 2 of the curtain call shots.
Yeah, we're going to go down mid, though, and takes that you cannot defend this.
Might be able to stop the second charge, as he does do a lot of damage here. The culling is going to land onto the Herald as it does go down. Deadly Flourish connects onto Eden to chunk him a little bit. Absolved do stop that second charge out of the Herald, and they're just going to steal away this red buff.
Last tier 2 down, and the problem is, if you think about towers as a safe haven, right? The last safe havens for Absolved are on the edge of their base. So when Nvision clear vision out and push it up aggressively, Absolved have to walk all the way from the edge of their base up to that Baron. It makes it so difficult because anytime you walk through there, if you face check a Leona, you're just dead.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say is having the Hawk shots from the Ash and 2 boot trinkets means they have some alleviate, but it's not fun. If that vision gets cleared out and they have to face check, it's so difficult.
And it feels like Nvision just had the ability to bait out this vision from Absolved. Like you said, they've got a lot, but it's not infinite. It does have to respawn up, and already the Hawk shot's been used to try and spot out whether or not they're on there. They're going to go for the recalls though, and Takes should be closing in on that Hurricane. Eden also trying to build towards his Infinity Edge. They just need to look for Acidi to start getting some levels so you can start handing out these upgrades, and that's somewhat kind of... It just makes it up for a little bit of the gold deficit with the Ornn items, because you get a little bit of free stats, a little bit of effectively free gold.
Yeah, but not much. Free gold is going to overcome that 4,000 gold diff in the top lane.
Yes, that's the problem.
And again, Eden, 10k golden on him, second only to the Renekton. They need to play around this Lucian. He can be the driving force for them, but they need to facilitate him, and he needs a good fight where he's able to get damage off and not be threatened by his short range. So have to see. For now, though, Absolved have to just play a defensive game. They have contested Vision quite heavily in their red side jungle, so a decent amount pushed up. But now this is where Nvision look to clear it out and sweep as far as they can, and that's where things get tricky.
Yeah. Do you see Shackle on a scouting mission? Is just going to back away though for the moment, as finally Acidi has finished his first 2 items, so the upgrades are in on him. Takes that will look to try and clear out this minion wave. He can do it fairly quickly now. He's got that Hurricane, so a lot of AoE damage. Hawk shot to spot out some of the vision. Is Absolved is just trying to nestle at least their red side jungle. They're not willing to step into the river yet. They know that would be incredibly dangerous.
But here's the
Someone
problem.
needs to go answer this bot lane.
Yeah, bot wave pushed up, mid wave pushed up. City has to move over to Answer, and that gives Nvision a window. They want to rotate and clear the Vision out, but actually they're looking for a City.
Yeah, City has to charge away here. Just hit the Deadly Flourish, and the Ash Arrows. Takes it, gets chunked by Cadaver.
Ooh.
Loses 2
a lot of damage.
health. And Takes it's going to have to go back to the fountain and heal. Shackle, you're on the flank, but you're not really going to get an assassination off.
Yeah,
Void Staff and Runic
Shackle's
Echo.
items.
Yeah.
Void Staff really not really doing much to anyone in this game. A little bit of pen with those Merc Treads, but for the most part not adding too much of damage. And the thing is, he's 3 levels down on Music, 2 levels down on Cadaver. Sevlin is pretty not impactful, but Ash Arrow coming in. This connects.
Oh, Music.
That ward, see the ward and the brush next
saved
to
him.
Raptors?
That
one saved him. He's
that
still
Ghost
coming.
Ward saved him so hard there. They finally see it. So it was you.
Dragon spawning in 25. Third one for Nvision.
But
Absolved can give it up, but it makes it difficult.
Test it. I think they probably chill. They got the Molten Edge on Eden now, so they have got an ornament on one of their carries.
Eden is strong.
Eden is strong. Eden is strong. They need to play with him. He's 270 CS at the moment. Level 15. Actually, him and Icebreaker are the 2 highest levels in this game, so he's still got a lot he's able to offer the teams. The Realm Warp actually comes in from Twist. Make sure he's close enough to the mid lane in case any shenanigans do break out. And it looks like Absolved are just trying to get control of the Baron area. Maybe start this up, actually. Dragon's going to get started by Music. They might just try and fight with the numbers advantage. Only playing the interrupt game as Baron is going down somewhat quickly. Here comes the call of the Forge God. They're looking for the fight. They're looking for the burst onto Pedersen, who pops the Stone Blade to keep himself alive. Icebreaker on the back. Great solar flare, though, into the back line as they're trying to get the damage off. Shackle with the last caress finds the kill. Music has to go golden. Baron's still doing a lot of damage to these members. Is Acidy able to tank up, but Eden is on his own, away from his team. Can try and Relentless Pursue over the wall to safety. Does have a teleport. Can he get out? They flash after him. Eden's not getting out as Icebreaker takes him down.
It's now a numbers advantage for Nvision again. Eden's strongest member now down means Nvision can look towards his Baron. Resets to come in, but Shackle is not alive, so this should be an easy pickup for the side of Nvision. And Ash and 2 tanks just isn't enough.
Yeah, not going to be able to do enough at all here. 2-item Ash. Really not going to be able to do much as Icebreaker actually comes over the wall. The Ash Arrow goes wide by take set. That could have been enough maybe to kill Icebreaker. He's worth a lot of gold, so they may just look for him. The flash, the volley, everything's been fired out as take set actually cleanses a little bit too early, but Icebreaker's healed up. They found the knockup from 1, but Acidy's running out and Cadaver will just look for take set. Take set jumps over the wall, but Cadaver takes him down. Shackle's making his way over. No last caress though, so this will be the end of the front line. This will be the end of the tank. And Nvision have found themselves everything they need. They've got the Baron, and they've taken down the key members. This should just be the base getting cracked open by Nvision.
They might even look to end off the back of this. If Eden dies, it's over.
Has got the culling, so he'll be able to clear the wave after the inhibitor falls, but the inhibitor will definitely be going down. They're going to realm warp the minion line forward here. Eden has to be careful as Icebreaker jumps onto him. They found the stun. That is the end of him as Shackle. Last caress is going to be coming up soon. Take set's there, but Shackle pings back out of the fight and he will lose his life. The Nexus has been laid bare as Take Set just unable to do enough damage. And we're going to game number 3, baby. Nvision tie the score.
Much better game from Nvision, goes without saying, but a lot more proactivity, music looking better on the Nidalee, and Icebreaker facilitated in this game. Last game, he felt like he was honestly dead weight a little bit for the team, but this one, a driving force in the Renekton, absolutely massive. And even when Eden got fed, it just didn't matter. I do have to say that Absolved definitely made some wrong decisions there, but it was compounded by the fact that Nvision were making the right calls.
Yeah, it was a mixture of Nvision making the right calls and, like you said, Absolved making wrong calls, but I do want to take a bit of a look at Take Set as well, because his positioning in that game was frankly awful. He was just constantly away or isolated from his team, getting taken out, and it just looked like Absolved looked scattered in that second game. It looked like they didn't seem to have an answer, and they were trying to scramble something together, and it just crumbled around them. And with that, Nvision do tie the series. So I have one more game to go today, guys. We're going to throw to a quick break, and when we're back, we'll have our analyst desk break down that game number 2.
Falling further, only time will tell. Who's gonna wear it? Who's gonna wear it? Who's gonna change up? Now it's over. Big dreams, big hearts will roll together.
Nvision evens up the score after a convincing win against Absolved. Trouble Icebreaker was snowballing hard this game.
Yeah, and he wasn't even alone. I think Music and Icebreaker sort of were harmonious together this game, and the communication was spot on. They knew exactly when they wanted to dive, when they wanted to push the wave. You saw they kind of took a chill pill in the early game. They got their vision down, and once the vision was down, that's when they got the first double kill up the top lane. Icebreaker versus his opponent, top laner, and also Music versus the Evelyn. And I feel like the key part right here was every time Nvision would just push forward a wave, they would completely empty the jungle of that Evelyn, and she was so starved. I think at the end she was like, what, 80 CS down? It was insane.
Yeah, and in the middle, then you had Eden for Absolved. He was trying, and he was actually pretty close, but Nvision played those team fights pretty well, Jamada, not letting Eden get close to the carries.
Yeah, I mean, even though Eden was undoubtedly the most fed member of the team, like you say, he was never really able to lay down that damage. So it's like, you know, it's all well and good having free items upgraded by the Ornn as well, but if you're not really able to like lay down, if you're not able to right click, man, you're not going to deal damage. It's how League of Legends works when you're an AD carry. So yeah, it was definitely unfortunate to see, but it was just very strong play from Nvision, right? Once they started to take over the top side of the map, it bled out to the rest of the map. And like Trouble said, Cal got starved really bad. Evelyn didn't really get to do Evelyn things from start to finish.
Yeah, let's be fair, Icebreaker having a main role in this together with Music. And I think you have a replay for us on the drawing board, Jamada,
Yes,
that shows that as well.
Yeah, and it's more or less sort of a greater team fight that eventually ends up breaking out, but it's just from all of the pressure we already see on our screens. Icebreaker, he's 2 levels up on Acidy, right? Acidy has been having a fun time, and you know, this is a play that realistically I think could have gone more in Absolved's favor if Absolved had a little more gold, but we're actually seeing a rotation out from Nvision from the jungle. They use the Realm Warp from around Herald. Round here also, so it's in blue or green, sad, but yeah. So they're trying to make a pick onto Acidy, but you can see in the mid lane right here, the minion wave's actually relatively even. They're kind of doing it off tempo. This is Music and Twist saying, okay, we want to just make this play on the top side without much knowledge of where Evelyn or really Ko are. They do have vision in the jungle around here, but it's not really enough. It's just on the Raptor camp, and Absolved are able to just kind of cheat the rotation because the wave is even in mid, so they just end up sort of pathing through the jungle here, and they're able to actually match it pretty quickly. And Acidy, he stays alive far longer than he probably deserves to, and they managed to take down Twist Absolved, but again, the gold lead is too big. Absolved are already too far ahead, and eventually this just turns into, I think only 35 has to die for this. So he's just a lone Nautilus. He's 4 levels down on a big crocodile with, I think, 2 items almost fully completed. And yeah, I mean, this is just sort of a situation where Absolved are too far behind from this point in the game already. We're talking about 16, 17 minutes into the game. And even though in reality, Nvision make a bit of a jump the gun play on the rotation, they still come out ahead on the play just because they have that much gold in their pockets.
We also have to mention the big impact that Twist had in this game. In the first game on the Akali, he was never able to leave his lane. He was never able to play the game at all, never mind be an assassin. But here on the Rise, which has a similar ultimate to Twisted Fate, he was able to impact the side lane, specifically the top lane that needed to be snowballed very early. And he showed that every chance he was getting, him and Music would bundle up in this warp and just go straight up the top lane. Just end up being successful every single time.
Who will be facing Dusty? That is the question we all have right now, and we're going into Game 3 to make that decision. It's Nvision Absolved. They're fighting it out on the Rift. We come back after a break. We're heading right into the pick event, so don't go anywhere.
must be dreaming. Think I saw a ghost. Or was it an angel of the past that we all know? Ain't got the answers, but I hold the hope. So I'm holding on to the love, embracing the unknown. Now I'm dancing to the music. I'll just keep dancing till I lose it. Yeah, I got that Friday feeling. Yeah, it's all that I've been needing. Feel it, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so good. Feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so If I'm dreaming, I don't wanna know. 'Cause this is all I need, a perfect story told. I ain't got the answers, I still hold the hope. So I'm holding on to the love, embracing the unknown. Now I'm dancing to the music. I'll just keep dancing till I lose it. Yeah, I got that Friday feeling. Yeah, it's all that I've been needing. Feel it, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so good, good. Feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so good, good. Feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so good, good. Feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so Love is all we need. 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 Feel it. You're feeling good. Feel it. You're feeling good. So good, good. Feel it. You're feeling good. Feel it. You're feeling good. Feel it. You're feeling good. So good, good. Feel it. You're feeling good. Feel it. You're feeling good. Feel it. You're feeling good. So good, good. Feel it. You're feeling good. Feel it. You're feeling good. Feel it. You're feeling good. So good, good.
We fall so hard to tend the gardens for strong and lonely hearts. The roofs are falling under the boughs left in the summer, striving to find places for cover. We can't abide all breaking your backs and falling on the stone. Out on my own. This land of which we claimed, wash it from our hands.
Well, welcome back to the NLC Fall Open, where we are heading straight into the last game of the day as we go into the third game of this best of three series between Nvision and Absolved. Jamada, yeah, I'm gonna say it again. Lee Sin gets banned. That's no surprise, but I do wonder what the adaptations were from the side of Absolved as they took the loss in the last game.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether they're going to div it away from the Lucian now, whether they want to like keep it banned as it was in game one, And we're just really speedrunning the bans. Everything's practically the same. It's now about whether Absolved decide to keep the Camille or the Lucian or the Akali band. This time, Akali's band, and I mean Nvision, they're just gonna run it back a third time. It was kind of just execution that was holding Nidalee back and music back in game 1. Game 2 went much better, so if it's not broken between game 2 and game 3, don't need to fix it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I feel the synergy between Icebreaker and Music kind of gelled together in game number 2. So whilst it's hot, keep it running. And by making sure that you get in the second AP jungler other than Lilia, which is banned, you ensure that you can play that AD in the top side or in the mid lane if you want to. Lucian is still open. At this point, Twist can pick it for the mid lane if he wants to. It's a fine matchup into the Orianna. It's a great mix of damage as well. And you can have Music bouncing between top and mid.
Yeah, but they're going to go for the Ashe, though. I do wonder, though, Jamada, before you can bring your point up, is if they're going to pick up the Renekton again, or are they going to wait with that until the next pick phase? And the question is it going to come through, Jamada?
Yeah, I mean, see an immediate lock of the Ashe and the Leona. And I want to say, with the Orianna and the Jhin first rotation, in my eyes, that just immediately says they're probably going to end up picking up Graves or Hecarim. And they've done just that. They want Shakal on the Graves. And yeah, I think it's not the first time tonight by any means. Saw it in game 1, I believe. And now it's kind of about, okay, Absolved, you want to ban away these AD sort of top laners and maybe even mid laners that synergize really well with the Nidalee. And we're going to see, who they fear more, whether it's Icebreaker or Twists. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Renekton ban come out. But for now, we are just going to see the set. Something that Icebreaker still to this day even plays in the top lane, even though it's been nerfed into oblivion. He still likes the champion.
Yeah, I mean, if I see Set, if I think of Icebreaker, I think of Set Trouble.
Yeah, you think of Set because he likes to throw punches. So I feel like, the champion suits him a lot. It's also really, really strong in the top lane. He doesn't lose most of his matchups. Even the Reigns versus melee matchups, he actually made sure people saw that at EU Masters that he does win those as well. So it's very dangerous in his hands. But something that I really wanted to point out is that we've seen Acidity play the top side, but the Mordekaiser has been open every single time. I feel like this could be the pivot that they can make with the Mordekaiser on the top set post 6. It's really, not impossible to dive, but it makes it that much harder with the ultimate eliminating only having one person into that bubble. So I'd like to see Asadi, yes, play weak side, but with some ace up his sleeve if he gets dived.
Yeah, with that support being picked up by Nvision, there's a good chance they're going to use that counter pick for a top laner there. Jamada, what do you think is going to happen in that top lane?
For Acidity, sorry, I've made this mistake.
You both do it.
We both done it.
Sorry, I infected you, sorry.
It's okay. So I don't mind the Braum coming out here. I think when you've got the Graves too, it definitely synergizes much better than with just the Jhin and the Braum in tandem together. So I'm okay to see this. And for the side of the top lane for Absolved, I mean, now that they've taken their support, this kind of opens up Icebreaker to take what he wants into it. I was thinking maybe you want to just take the Renekton just to take it. But yeah, I like the call out for the Mordekaiser because honestly, Nvision haven't really been playing towards the top side a whole bunch until sort of like that level 5/6 onwards mark. So being able to isolate a target in those kind of situations where you're getting 2-man, 3-man, even 4-man in worst case scenarios and saying, all right, you know what? Hey, Pedestal, you're coming with me, right? It's a really strong tool. So we could actually see him divot onto it. That being said, we're going to see the Renekton throwback. And I mean, will he want to play the Ornn again to sort of just have that standard team fight composition? After how things went last game, it will feel bad, but you know what your goals are. You know you're going to be able to scale. You know you're going to be able to hand out items. But we'll have to see, obviously getting hovers. I would probably say you just throw it back onto the Ornn.
Yeah, and it seems like that is what they are going to do. Trouble, what are your thoughts on this? Getting that same top lane matchup again that went, well, I would say drastically bad last game.
I feel like it was actually well played from Nvision. They managed the waves pretty well. They figured it out. They got their waves rolling. So the Ornn wasn't necessarily the problem. Absolved have yet again drafted a pretty balanced composition for them. All 3 games, they've had a very balanced composition. It's a very good front to back with a lot of scaling, a lot of mixed damage, a lot of hard engage, a lot of disengage. So it's up to them to actually perform to perfection and execute that correctly to be able to survive because Icebreaker snowballing is one thing that you should be scared of, but if you don't allow it to happen, you can slip through the cracks.
Jomana, what would you like to see in the early game from Absolved?
I mean, I think you just play to kind of survive here, right? You can definitely play towards the bottom side because you do have the Braum and the Graves. They do sync up really well, but you look across the map, they don't win any 2v2s, right? Top side, it's Nvision favored, right? On the bottom side, that's the only place where they can think about making a 3v3 happen and it be successful. But even then, you've got to think about things like teleports. So it can get rough, but they've got the scaling element. And this time they have the shockwave, they have the ball and the area control from the Orianna to just in times try and keep Icebreaker in check. And that's going to kind of be the make or break, I think, in these team fights later on in the game.
Yeah, one game left, and one of these teams will be eliminated, and one of them will be ending up tomorrow against Dusty. Once again, who will it be? Well, who better to tell us than Ox and Hipbrain?
Thank you very much. As we're getting ready to go into our third and final game of this series and final game of the day, things have changed up a little bit here and there. The only major difference is the fact that there's no Lucian and it's been replaced by the Orianna. But we've actually kept all of the champions. It's just they kind of swap places a little bit here. Orcs, what are you making of this? Do you think the changes are good for Absolved? Do you think Nvision, they have the momentum coming out of that second game and they're going to be able to close this out?
I think Absolved have a really easy composition when it comes to team fights. Once they get there, I feel confident Absolved should be strong. It's kind of just negating that early pressure from Nvision. Particularly, they have that Renekton, Nidalee, Rise, topside combo again. Really easy lanes for here to have set up on and gank. So, you know, this is on Nvision. If Nvision can continue that momentum they had in that previous game, they can play in a similar way, they definitely can take this one and make it a 2-1 reverse sweep. But I think if they hesitate, they make mistakes, Absolved should come back into it later on in the game. And I think, as Jamada said, bot side is where Absolved can look to play around to find success, because as much as Jhin isn't the best to go in sync with the Braum, Graves definitely can stack that passive up quickly and flourish in the skirmishes.
Absolutely. Well, we've taken to the Rift for game number 3 of Nvision versus Absolved. Icebreaker once again on his Renekton, just so oppressive. I felt like these top laners have been the difference makers in both of these games. Game number 1, Acidy was on the Scion, and it was just that brick wall which they couldn't cut down. Game 2, Icebreaker just got so large on the Renekton, and Acidy couldn't deal with it and had to send multiple people to deal with him. But also, Absolved did make a lot of mistakes in their rotations and positional plays. So I want to see them kind of shore that up a little bit, because early game, Acidy actually absorbed Icebreaker very well. It was as soon as Icebreaker got that one little bit of an opening, it just fell apart. And now Absolved looking for the invade.
They do spot that ward now. But it's a Braum, so very hard to deal with this invade.
Okay, he's making his way over. Got that concussive blow, remember, but he's already been stunned, already been chunked. Cadaver's the one who's got the mark on him, but Swiss is also roamed over. Ashar is coming, Nidalee Spear. Do a lot of damages. Zolf happy with actually the amount of chunk they've been able to do here. Shackle not able to get in, and only he's getting chunked pretty heavily. He's going to be able to heal up from the pots, and Shackle hasn't finished a single camp, so already behind the Nidalee.
It's a rough start, and ultimately Rise being able to move down and potentially cut off an escape path meant that Absolved had no choice but to back away. Didn't even actually proc the Braum passive once, so a rough start overall for Absolved, and not quite what they were looking for on the back of that.
Yeah, felt like Only was a little bit too slow to the punch to actually do anything there. So pretty rough for Absolved start there. It means they're going to lose the priority here in this bot lane, so the level 2 race will be won by Nvision.
Not a great situation we play in.
Yeah.
Especially since you know for a fact that top lane is going to be in a pretty rough spot, and Nidalee is likely to be playing around top side. So if your bot lane to already be feeling a little bit painful because of that invade, Absolved not off to a great start.
Yeah, Shackle's only just done his second camp as well, so he's trying to barrel over as quick as possible towards his top side, but 4 camps done by Music, and now Music's actually pinging that he wants to go for the invade onto Shackle. Level 3 to level 2, hasn't got top lane help. Music is a little bit low though. Shackle will spot him out. Does get a bit of a heal off, but Icebreaker also making his way over. Shackle not wanting to give this up, but has to use the smite early on to this. There's a smite available for Music, and Icebreaker's just chasing Shackle out. Honestly, just a massive fumble by Absolved in the early game, and it is really costing them in the jungle early here.
Yep, it's cost them bot lane, cost them in the jungle, and look at the CS discrepancy here. It's staggering. We're seeing a 13 CS lead already between these two junglers, and it's only growing at the moment as Graves has to go boss side and clear his wolves. So just really terrible start for Shackle. There's no other way to phrase it. And things might get worse for a City now as well.
Oh,
It does actually connect. They can just dive this on the back of that. Honestly, he's low enough.
he absolutely is. Maybe he can look for a recall in time, but another spear is going to connect.
Oh, not yet.
Acity.
He's so dead.
Just lose the minions, mate. Does hit level 4, so does get a bit of health back, but another spear's connecting. Acity just leave. It's 3 minions.
But I understand why Icebreaker isn't looked to point. I guess he's wanted to bounce it and freeze on his side, which makes sense, but I guess this is more punishing necessarily maybe than the freeze, but City's going to be able to walk up now, and Nidalee already left, so not super concerned about this.
Yeah, he did get a biscuit, so he's feeling a little bit comfortable. Buys himself a ruby crystal, but Acity does have to be careful. There is always a potential repeat as Shackles used this time from the top lane to try and steal away a camp, is able to do so, but now Twist is just going to look at it and run him down. Shackle going to take those tower shots and get himself executed, so not the worst, not the best.
Yeah, quick recall, and I understand the decision from Icebreaker to look for the let the wave push into him and freeze it. But the problem is there's now so many minions that when he tries to
Oh no,
spray-
Icebreaker. Acity's just going to go down. First blood, easy as that. And Eden even teleported in to try and get this, but Music's made his way over.
Yeah, I felt like maybe things could have backfired there, and the City was taking some good trades, but Icebreaker goes aggressive with the flash and just managed to pop him, so ends up getting the kill. A City has to burn the TP to get back in the lane, but Icebreaker should be able to get a pretty strong buy. Gets double longsword Doran's Blade, so this Renekton is really going to hit.
Yeah, that's really rough. It felt like if Acity had just faced earlier, he would have been a little bit more comfortable in the lane, but he was feeling himself. He chunked Icebreaker a little bit and then overstayed in the lane.
Yeah, and I guess the wave was in such a bad spot. He might have felt like, well, if I TP back, if I recall and TP back, yeah, I might still be in trouble. And if he dies when TP's down, then it's over.
Yeah.
It's a bad situation.
It is, and the person it's costing more than Acity is Shackle. Heavily losing out. Down 14 CS to Music at 5 minutes. He's just trying to scrap whatever farm he can get together. Takes it and only also having to play fairly safe back here because they went to help with the invade early and that's cost them in the lane. Honestly, Absolved not looking great in this third game, but it is early days. The gold lead is there, but it's not so bad that it's unable to come back from this. So I have to see how they bounce back.
There's still always that window in the later game team fights for Absolved to really show up.
Yes.
They have a lot of strength there, but for now, things are troublesome. Music is going to invest some time taking this Ocean Dragon, which honestly is a saving grace for Absolved because it gives Shackle the time to catch up a little bit in terms of farm. So as much as, it's good to be able to pick up the dragon, Shackle is able to close the gap a little bit because if Nidalee was able to spend that time farming, if a camp's roll up, then potentially she could be already level 6, and that would have been pretty disastrous.
You can see that now Twist is the Realm Warp. He's constantly walking out the lane, looking to see if he can find an opportunity to move into the side lane. A Shackle is going to be able to take this grab. Icebreaker made his way down to try and stop him from doing so. Blue buff spawning up in a second, and Shackle's probably going to want to give this over to Eden because Eden is running a little bit low in the old mana department.
Yeah, Eden needs a reset. TP already down though. So Twist had a massive advantage here. TP advantage and health and mana advantage means that Eden not having a great time in this lane against the Rise. Obviously, Rise really powerful, just instantly clearing waves.
I actually thought Acity was feeling the dive there. Would have been a little
nice
overeager. Acity does get a little bit of damage back into him, but pretty low on mana right now. Twist is moving out of the way, and Blue buff's getting started up by Music. Twist will spot out Shackle. Shackle will also spot out Twist. And Eden can Shockwave, but that is it. He has no mana to work with, and Twist is just going to bounce so much damage through the pair of them. They're still trying to contest.
I mean, the thing is, only 35 had just reset. There was no way they could contest that. Eden, low mana, only 35 not there. No way they can contest. And Music able to steal away 2 camps, including that blue. And Eden would have loved that blue, I will say. Absolutely would have loved it. And now, Music can path through his Raptors into his blue side jungle and hand off his own blue to Twist. and that's going to set up for just such a powerful mid lane advantage.
Honestly, it just feels like it just feels like stubbornness from Absolved, to be honest. They keep trying to contest it even though they know they're not going to win it. And they're just losing out on objective after objective. Now, Shackle is going to rotate towards this other side of the map and look to get the Rift Herald. Lane swap isn't coming out from either team, as Takes is going to go for the base and maybe will make his way towards this top side. Shackle should be able to pick this up uncontested. Acid is also going to make his way over to make sure that Shackle does pick up the Herald. He has the smite, so Absolved get themselves something. It's been a pretty awkward start to the game. Spedersen making his way over, has got the solar flare available, so has to be a little bit careful, but he is able to make his way out.
Definitely positive for Absolved. If anything, just denying it away from Nvision is huge.
Yeah,
but could potentially look to be able to capitalize on that. And, I mean, find a couple of plates.
We have to take the opportunity to look at where we are in the items at the moment. So, Catalyst onto Acidy, so he has a bit of health and mana to work with. But the big one is this jungle. Runic Echoes on music to Shackle, who's down a level and just has his red smite. Probably has enough for at least the Warhammer on this base. But for the moment, it doesn't look like he's going to get that opportunity. As Acidy maybe going to get dove here. Music reveals himself out of the bush as Shackle is going to have a minion to block the spear for him. And Icebreaker just going in for a bit of damage onto Music. Onto Acidy, sorry. Acidy able to eat that and make his way out, though.
Yeah, spear doesn't connect, but Runic Echo is such a big spike for the Nidalee. So much burst damage available to the champion. You see that Shackle has reset and picked up his warriors, but Nvision taking this opportunity to deny another camp away from the graves. Henderson often looking for opportunities to move, and only 35 has been following, so these supports starting around the map, particularly towards mid lane for the time being. But Shackle is moving down. We'll be spotting a ward. Could see a skirmish break out over the scuttle, but I think with Twist just clearing the wave that quickly, Nvision should be able to get this.
Even top laner has TP in mind, so that's something to work with. Acidy has got the Ignite at the moment, which he can throw onto Icebreaker if he wants to get a little bit of control, but at the moment, they are just going to have to give up this Herald, this Crab. Take Set's playing fairly far back, has got Flash and Cleanse, but is bleeding out a little bit on this current wave.
Oh, slow-paced one, Jake.
Yeah, very slow-paced one. And somewhat frustrating, to be honest, to watch. Absolved looked so much better in Game 1 and Game 2. You know, there were some mistakes, but Game 3, they've just... Some of the decision-making has been very strange to me, but luckily for them, they have been able to chill this one out a little bit. They are still down, and there is obviously this really, really painful problem, which is the jungle at the moment, but Flash is going to get forced by Only. His Music will get slowed down by the Winter's Bite. They were looking for a little gank in the bottom lane, not going to be able to find it. Rift Herald in the pocket of Shackle, so they can use the Rift Herald to try and get some priority. Eden can base and get his Archangels here, or at least the Seraphs.
I think for me, this has really been testament to Music, finding momentum again, and after a Game 1 that felt really non-consequential. It felt like he just didn't have an impact, and now he really has been a big driving force of the team, consistently finding his chess advantages. Do you see Eden looking for Twist?
Yeah, Twist able to jump away from the shockwave, and that is Eden.
Oh my.
That was... You committed the flash for it as well. It is... Honestly...
The dude just walked in a straight line.
Twist didn't even dodge. Twist didn't flash, he didn't dodge, he just walked.
I don't know. Like... if Twist had flashed, I would be like, I mean, fair play to Twist. A lot of nerve. A lot of people would have just insta-flashed there. But that looks just so awkward for the side of Absolved. Eden just going for that play and nothing coming from it.
I actually can't wrap my head around how you missed that. It's free real estate.
Should at least force the flash, bare minimum. Bare minimum.
Yeah.
That's what you should be getting out of that play. And then it's a 1-for-1 in flash, but you're trading down in terms of like the fact you're using an ult, but at least you get something. But burn flash and ult and get nothing. It's pretty rough, but they are going to love to use the Herald here, but this is just 2 plates, nothing else.
It is just the hard force here. Plates are going to go down, but that's all the gold onto Shackle as well. Eden's not even going to be in range for it. So does somewhat to alleviate the gold difference between Music and Shackle, but the 2-level deficit is still a very real problem. The contest for the red buff is going to happen, and it looks like Absolved are going to be the ones to come up with this. Takeset's also made his way over, so we are in for the skirmish. The Call of the Forge God's been thrown out. Deadly Flourish gets dodged as Icebreaker flashes away. And Absolved, they invest a lot there, but don't actually get anything.
Yeah, I like the fact they went for that play, but I think they hesitated a bit too much, and they blew so much, and it got countered by a couple of flashes. You still get those flashes, but not exactly positive, and Cadaver's going to use Flown Time to farm a little bit more, get a plate. Plates will drop down, so won't be able to get any more, but he is feeling comfortable and actually able to match up that experience deficit he actually had against Takeset earlier in the game.
Takeset could be in for a potential tower dive here. They're throwing the teleports, the solar flare, the flash comes out. Shackle gets a blind off as only he's the one who's stuck. He's going to sacrifice his life for the team. Shackle misses the end of the line, shooting it into the wrong wall, and going to lose their support as the Realm Warp puts everyone on Nvision on the right side of the turret and in the safety of their own wave.
It just feels like Nvision are like, we're going to make a play, and Absolved like, okay.
Yeah, it actually does.
Like, I don't know, you have 3 people there, and you just flop. Like,
They had Shockwave, they had everything.
it felt like they were so unprepared, and then they're just like, okay, turret's gone. Okay, you know, you still have 3 members alive out of the 4 you had originally. And it just feels like Nvision, since that game 2, are just setting the pace now, like, we're making a play, and it really feels like Absolved is kind of on the back foot, and are just kind of watching the game go by. It's pretty frustrating after a really dominant game 1.
Yeah, it really is. But honestly, for Nvision, insane for them. Really, really good. They got beat down hard in game number 1. And for them to come back with a game 2 that was that convincing, and then a game number 3 where, honestly, it looks like different people are playing our Absolved's computers right now. Just really, really good stuff. But like we did say earlier, there is that scaling option. There is the opportunity for them to get into this a little bit later. You've got the Orianna, but once there's enough AP on, Music and Cadaver could always be at threat off the burst. Seraph's already fully stacked for Eden.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not the end of the game, but a 3k gold lead, 3.5k gold lead, and 2 dragons does put Nvision on the driving seat. Now looking to take more towers here.
They have that Call of the Forge God on Acidy. They do get the blind off into Twist. Once again, the end of the line goes really, really wide as Acidy misses the redirect. He's dead. Solar Flare's going to get knocked out for the moment as they do get a good Deadly Flourish off onto Icebreaker. Now the Shockwave to follow. Eden finally fires something. And Absolved just seems to have woken up a little bit here. Great ultimate comes forward to get the knock up onto the bot lane. Spederson gets caught out by the Deadly Flourish, and Absolved will find themselves their second kill. Shackle on the meantime is being chased out. The phase rush speed should be enough as he dodges away from that final spear. Music looking for one more spear. Can Shackle survive? Yes, he can. And somehow
they got a positive play. They finally sort of found an opportunity to group together. They landed this CC. Well, not all of it. Obviously, it's still not connecting there. But they punished the over-aggression from Nvision. Nvision aren't super tanky, and if they overextend, you can burst through them. You have multiple targets. And I think that's what really Absolved can do well. You land the Brawn Pass on someone, everyone puts damage down onto them, and you can find success. It's just taking a little bit long for them to get to that point. They do lose a tower on the top side. They're still significantly down in gold. This hasn't changed the state of things. They are now heavy committing for this dragon on the bot side. Now, bear in mind, Cadaver is nowhere near this. He can't participate. So Absolved should get this. It's costing them a lot of free farm on Cadaver, but if Music steals this, it is devastating.
Yeah, it could be really, really rough, but he wants to see if he can. 2k health onto the dragon. Shackle should be able to secure this one. No smite on Shackle, so Eden luckily was able to get that one for Absolved, and that'll be their first dragon. Slowing it down
that was a bluff. That was a massive bluff on the side of Absolved, because if Nvision knew that Shackle was smiteless, I don't think he would have been so restrained with the steal attempt. Either way, they managed to pick it up.
That is actually very nice.
Cadaver, but yeah, I mean, it stalls the game.
It stalls the game, but it also, the Cloud Drake in general is nice because Absolved are very reliant on the Shockwave and the Glacial Fissure and the Call of the Forge God. They're very reliant on those ultimates to be able to turn fights or start fights. So for them to be able to get a bit of cooldown reduction on that early is nice. And Shackle's still down. That is the real concern here.
Levels,
he is still down 2 levels to Music and trying to scrap together whatever he can. There is a lot of locked gold on the map in these turrets. They haven't been able to take a single turret yet. Once they start to fall down, we could see the gold lead evaporate a little bit. But at the moment, I just don't think if Absolved can actually get their way in there, there is no Rift Herald for them to take as Music got the second one and he's still sitting on that. So at any point, he could just look to force open mid lane. And at that point, they have no turrets on the tier 1. It's all down to those tier 2 turrets. It forces them back further into the map. Yeah,
allows Nvision to place a lot more aggressive vision now. Hookshot going to come out, but fortunately, Recall had just come in from Shackle, so they don't actually spot him. You can see they've now opened into a 1-3-1, and Twist, he loves this scenario. Being able to just push waves endlessly and then rotate over with the Realm Warp as a threat is a perfect position for the Rise to be in. And Renekton's still in a position where he is able to pretty hard bully a city right now. And they're going to use that pressure to convert it into a free blue buff. And, you know, at any point, that mid tower's down, by the way. At any point they throw the Herald down, it's just gone.
Yeah, it'd have to be one hell of a defense from Absolved to stop that from happening. It's gonna have to go down fairly soon. Music doesn't have long left on the cooldown. With Absolved aware of that, they are rotating pretty much everybody over to this side of the map. But now, they're gonna ping up towards the top lane as they're trying to find Twist. Twist is just gonna retreat under his tower. And now Absolved pulled away from their mid lane. Music can summon the Rift Herald and Absolved need to bolt back towards mid.
Yeah, they're going for it now. Thing is, they can't really stop it.
No, there's no way to stop it now.
Yeah, it's just a bit too close to the tower. They'll get its charge off. Mid tower down. Opens up the map a lot more for Nvision to push up, especially with them playing this 1-3-1. They'll look for the second charge, and I don't think Absolved can stop this either.
They're going to get that second charge. There's no way Tate can stop it. So that's a lot of damage off on that turret. And now Shackle actually may find Twist here. Shockwave into the blind. He's going to have to try and Realm Warp away. He's going to be able to get out. And Eden takes a spear from Music as well. So Twist is just so tanky. Good shield from the Seraphs to block out most of the combo from Eden and Shackle.
Needed to hold the Shockwave in that situation. I mean, ultimately, I don't think they would have killed him anyway, because I think you hold the Shockwave and Twist probably just turns around on you. He's doing a lot of damage, but ultimately, you didn't have any CC left to stop his Realm Warp, and once he got away, you couldn't really chase him with Music there. So, nice attempt. Doesn't amount to much. Nvision's still ahead. 5,000 now the gold lead, so it has increased marginally. But the resets are coming in, and I think they can expand once more to the 1-3-1. TP available to Twist, and Dragon in a minute 30, which is looking to be the priority. I think Absolved have to give this one up.
Yeah, I think they do now. This time, Acidy is at least equal in levels to Icebreaker. It's not him who has the level deficit. It is in the jungle. Means those ornaments have started to get upgraded for him. And once Takeset and Eden start to get their ornament items as well, they will start to get some upgrades. So Molten Edge probably looking for Takeset. Eden away off the death cap, as it looks like he is opting for the Spellbinder as his second item.
Yeah, pretty common for that extra burst. You see Absolved are positioning around mid, looking for a pick.
Oh, good call of the good Ash Arrow to stop the call of the Forge God. Cadaver going a little bit low here, but only going to put the wall up. Cleanse comes out from Takestep. Icebreaker's made his way forward. Look for the Shockwave. It's going to have to be big by Eden. Health bars are low on to a couple of the members of Absolved and Nvision, but that Ash Arrow was life-saving from Cadaver.
Great Ash Arrow from Cadaver. Good, honestly, good re-engage from them, but it wasn't enough to find a kill. The TP's burnt now for Absolved. They've landed a couple more skill shots. Potentially could have found a kill there, but ultimately, getting the double TP, you take that in these scenarios. But it's not enough for them to get the Dragon. And actually, they've been routed here. Moving over to try and contest the Baron Vision.
Question is, can they Ash Arrow? Sorry, Nidalee Spear comes out. I keep calling it Ash Arrow. Nidalee Spear goes out and it's going to get dodged away.
The hitbox
turret's probably dead. Acidy's doing his best to defend, but that is the end of the tier 2 in the mid lane. Really big win there for Nvision.
Yeah, I mean, Absolved, I like the proactive initial play, but too many skill shots missed. What are they going for here?
They're just walking into Doom. Takeset's going to get chunked out heavily here. Music's on that flank, looking for the spear, looking for the assassination. Absolved health bars are also low. Music does get slowed down, and that will force him back momentarily as the Deadly Flourish is dodged out. Shockwave's still available to Eden. Absolved just face-checking.
Yeah, no, please, not again. They just keep walking into them like, let's go, and it just doesn't work.
At least use your...
Oh, they're going to TP in. They're going for this play again.
They are face checking. Takes this pretty chunked already. Twist is on the flank. That's going to be Dragon already secured into the backline. Nvision are just going to absolutely wipe them off the map. Shackle flashes away and Twist finds a quadra kill. Nvision are running away with it. Acidi is going to get pinned down. No way they're going to give over the Penta. They want to go for the Baron. They want to just close this series out. Absolved are just being minced. They're being destroyed right now.
They seem lost, in all honesty. Nvision, great play, taking the opportunity to punish, and Twist is massive on this rise from 0-0-0 to 4-0 with that quadra kill. But Absolved, you didn't need to face check that. You know, you didn't find the initial pick. Cool, give the Dragon up. But instead of giving the Dragon up, they feel forced to fight. They lose, and they lose the Baron as well. I mean, we can take a look at the replay. So they bring Acidi in. You know, he doesn't have his ultimate available yet, and instantly the backline is just dived on and gets decimated. The fight's over in a couple of seconds, and it didn't take, you know, big brain analysts to work out that fight was going to go in their favor, and yet they love for it. Now, Acidi...
He's dead.
Yep.
And watching that replay back, actually, one of the things I did notice was Eden ulted Pedersen, and that was it. So, who had his stone plate on at the time as well, so it wasn't even like a really efficient ultimate.
I mean, it was just honestly a terrible fight to take. And the thing is, it wasn't even necessary. Even if it'd been Soul, I think Cloud Soul, there's scenarios you could potentially give it up. But it wasn't even Soul.
He does a lot of damage to Twist, actually. His Takes-It is making his way over. Deadly Flourish is going to wear off here. Shackle's made his way over.
Oh my god, look at that
Blind is going to connect. Deadly Flourish isn't going to hit. Shackle is chunked out heavily. This is just hard to watch.
I actually think, you know, the Baroned up cannon minion probably could 1v1 Shackle at this point.
I actually think.
Okay, I'm exaggerating, but even so. Oh, they're looking. Oh, is Twist looking for them?
There's a lot of damage off Twist. Twist is actually just on that trade.
He has Seraph still.
That's massive. He stopped 2 recalls. Solar Flare once again just shuts Acidi down. Cadaver is going to get locked out, and the shutdown's picked up by Takes-It. Pedersen exhausted. Concussive blows are going to stack, and he's stunned down. Takes-It with a 4th shot. Looking to see if he can pick this one off. Pedersen jumps back onto Takes-It. Takes-It almost taken out by the minions. Finally able to get himself a 2nd kill. Double kill for the AD carry. It's the first 2 for Takes-It. Suddenly something good has happened for Absolved, but at what cost?
Showing some life with a 10,000 goal down, so it's not really drastically changing the shape of the game. Massive goal discrepancies across the board, but Takes-It only 1,000 gold down in his counterpart now. That's something, I guess, but they're still in such an uncomfortable position. They need these picks, though. They need these picks on these immobile carries. Whether it's Cadaver or Twist, they're both flashes. They need picks on them. Now, Icebreaker, I think he can 1v2 this.
I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident he can 1v2 this. Does reveal himself there. Eden spots him out. Yeah. I am very glad for Eden, but he didn't take that fight.
Yeah. Wouldn't be a fun time.
Takes-It closing in.
Now on him.
Takes-It now closing in on his Infinity Edge. So at that point, the Molten Edge should come through. No Death Cap still available for Eden, so...
Wait,
I mean, Shackle,
he's level 14 and no one has completed items for him to upgrade.
It's like last game, but the other way around.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at Shackle. That is bad.
Tragic. That's tragic.
That's a jungle item, and that's it. Into Zhonya's, Fiends, Fiendish
in the
Codex.
Jiffy.
Oh, it is a Diffie in the Jiffy, my dude. It really is.
Yeah, Shackle not had a good game 2 or game 3. And, you know, start the series off well. Normally I have positive things to say about Shackle, but these last 2 games have been rough.
I mean, he's been denied the Nidalee all series long, and it's got... Oh my... He's that jungler.
Yeah. Dude, you have 100 more CS than me. Let me have some.
I mean, that's actually what it's boiled down to.
Mum says it's my turn for CS.
Are they actually contesting farm with each other? No, okay.
No, I think
Eden's making sure Shackle gets.
Shackle clearly said, "Hey, I need an item. Can I have this?"
Yes,
yeah, he's got a lot of.
Go spend.
No, he's trying to get enough for his item.
Does he not? No, he needs 800, 1800, doesn't he?
Yes, we can recall now. But I think he's escorting in Oriana.
Yeah. Making sure this wave crashes. Make sure they deny something. The Realm Warp came out from Twisters. They're investing everything on top side to get their first tower of the game. Meanwhile, dragon's being taken as teleports are coming in from both teams, and Acidy maybe for a bit of trouble. That's a good Ash Arrow onto the backline. The Call of the Forge God does connect out for the moment. Oh my lord. Oh no. Twister's got a double kill and Acidy's forced to flash. It's just gone horrific. It's actually just horrific.
You know what boggles my mind as well is they just give over Cloud Soul, right? As if it's like whatever, who cares about Cloud Soul? Then why were they so set on fighting that third dragon? Like, that's the one you give over. But what if you don't care about dragon? Oh, I don't know.
Honestly,
anyway,
watching these fights is just it. I'll get onto that anecdote in a moment because Twister's gonna get chunked out pretty heavily by Acidy. Tower shot's gonna get cancelled out and take set. He is the only one left standing, and Vision may just have done this. Everybody else is spawning up though, and these towers are going low. They're going down very quick. Eden's gonna have to make something happen with this shockwave, but Icebreaker jumps onto him, already chunks him.
Oh my lord,
Icebreaker just
gone.
assassination off. Nexus has been laid bare as the solar flare comes down. Badursa's looking for take set, and Godiva is just getting himself a glory kill, and Vision just dismantle Absolved.
That's some peak gaming. Honestly, well played with Nvision. I feel like coming in the tournament and throughout, they've kind of been underestimated a bit. So doing a lot to prove they definitely deserve to be at this point of the tournament. Dominating game 2 and 3. Music with a really strong performance in the lead. But honestly, all round, everyone was solid. But Icebreaker and Twist, monster in that last game. And for the side of Absolved, it honestly feels kind of frustrating because, you know, I wouldn't be as frustrated and sound as negative if they hadn't shown us they're capable of better play. But the thing is, they've shown us they're capable of more and they're not living up to it. And that's the thing that's kind of irritating, is that we know they can play better than this and they're not. But that aside, I don't think you can take anything away from this win from Nvision because they definitely played to their standard and they played well.
I mean, watching that game was like watching a school fight, except one of the kids in the school fight is Mike Tyson. And then the next day they go back to fight again, and it's still Mike Tyson. And
how many years was he held back?
Maybe next time we'll win the fight versus Mike Tyson. So 3 days in a row, they go into school and Mike Tyson beats them up. That's literally what watching that game was like. It was just, honestly, Nvision looked so lost in game number 3. And with that, Absolved looked lost. Nvision, they did not look lost. Nvision found the map. They just had the key to the Nexus there. Fantastic 2-1 victory for Nvision. And that punches them through into the next stage of the tournament. Guys, we're going to cut to a break, and when we are back, we'll have an interview ready and our desk to break down that game a little bit more. See you in a sec.
Up, we're nearly in sync, but not in step just yet. When you time that look, you know this can't be second best. It's all in the timing. There's not a right way or a wrong way. It's just a short way or the long way. Get there together in our own way. Never breaking the link we found. It's all in the time. just the short way or the long way. Get there together in our own way. I feel like I'm in a dream, 'cause nothing is as it seems. I feel like I'm in a dream, but that's where I wanna be. And I feel free for the first time. And I feel free for the first time. For the first time. For the first time. For the first time. And I feel free for the first time. And I feel free.
And with that, Nvision makes it to the semis and will end up against Dusty. Very convincing win once again here, Jamada.
Very convincing, you know. Being the superior analyst along with Trouble. It feels good today. Feels good. Yeah, I mean, no. Joke aside, Nvision really did play well, but it felt like Absolved just like fell off a cliff. Like we saw it last week when Absolved actually played Singularity, and it looked like Singularity just ran out of fuel. They just ran out of gas in the tank. Absolved's plays can't really be boiled down from an analytical point. It just seems like they got frustrated with themselves and just kept on making questionable plays, to be very generous.
Yeah, it also felt like most of the lead trouble came from the top side of the map for Nvision.
Yeah, it felt like, you know, with music and Icebreaker, it all fell together. First game, it fell apart. Second and third game, it fell together. They had a great synergy. They managed the wave pretty well. The dives were flawless. The execution was flawless towards the top side. And once you snowball these two, because music also played carry champions, and it was like two carry champions always fed on the top side, mixed damage profiles you could not necessarily deal with. So it was really hard for Absolved to deal with these two. And I'll agree with Yamada 100%. It felt like they were just out of ideas on how to bring the game back.
Yeah, you're talking about carries, and speaking about one of them, we have Icebreaker here, the top laner for Nvision, to talk about the game as well. Icebreaker, welcome, and thank you for your time. What a comeback. How was that series in your eyes? Because let's be fair, in the first game, it looked a little bit uncoordinated what happened at the first blood.
Hello guys, thanks for having me, first of all. The first game was really bad, you already know that. We reset our mental in the second game, we picked more comfort champs, we stabilized our draft a bit, and we were able to reverse ship the series and take the win home.
Yeah, you played a very confident Renington together with music. You set up a great lead there for your team. Talking about your career though, because I'm pretty interested. I mean, obviously you are from Greece. What's going to happen in your career moving forward to 2021? Are you going to stay in the NLC? Are you going to move forward? What are your options?
Like many players in Greece, my career process was like winning Greek League and then trying to go out in a better team with better players, with supports and stuff from coaches and stuff like that. It's really hard to do that though. Like Greece is kind of hard to live, and when you do that, you have to do it step by step. So I did my first step with Barrage in the past. Now it's my second step with Nvision, and I hope I get noticed. And I have a lot to show, as you can see. I think.
Yeah, you definitely have a lot to show. And maybe you have to show that tomorrow as well, as you're fighting on Stambosa tomorrow for Dusty. How are you looking forward to that matchup?
We played a lot with Dusty and many other teams from NLC in scrims and stuff like that, so I'm ready to face anyone. We pretty much know every weakness and strength of theirs, and I think we will do pretty good with them.
You think you're going to make it to the final?
I think so, yes. Like, who am I to say we will not make it to the finals?
That is definitely true. Icebreaker, very convincing words. Once again, congratulations on the win. Good luck tomorrow, and see you at the semi versus Dusty.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a good night.
Yes, you too. Thank you. In a lot of
cool dude.
You pulled
What
me
can
out.
I say? It runs in our blood.
Okay, there was a little bit of a mix-up right there. I think he accidentally. Okay, doesn't matter what happened. All that matters is that we have a best of three tomorrow, or two best of threes tomorrow. Man, that threw me a bit off. I'm not gonna lie.
That was funny. that was funny.
Okay, focus. Back to what just happened. So I'm really put off. But Nvision is playing against a Dusty tomorrow. What are your expectations from that, Jamada?
Oh, it's kind of hard to say. Like, I think that Dusty now definitely, like, after Tricks dropped out, they moved from, sort of being third favorites to second favorites. But talking about going into Dusty, I think it's hard to say. I would honestly, especially after hearing Icebreaker, because Icebreaker is so cool, man. He just won me over with that interview. I kind of want to see Nvision go all the way. Even though, I think most people have Dusty down, and I think rightfully so. There's maybe a world where they can overcome, because it seems like they've overcome expectation over expectation, like, throughout this entire tournament. So I think it's going to be one of those things where we just have to kind of see how they show up tomorrow, because if we get game one Nvision, I'm not sure.
Would you say that Nvision is a bit of the dark horse of the tournament right now?
I mean, out of the remaining 4 teams, yes, I think they are. By quite a long shot too, because I think on the other side, you look at who queued into Barrage is Ents, right? So I don't think Ents have it in them realistically to take down Barrage. I don't think that's really much of an upset, though. I think Ents have earned their place in the semi-final. I just don't see it happening. So yeah, I think on this side, if we get that game 1 Nvision that we just saw from this series, I think they're in for a really hard time versus Dusty, because Dusty as a team were really punishing teams that they're playing against when they wanted to make macro moves, when they wanted to sort of cheat rotations and things like that. So if Nvision play a slightly more coordinated version of what we saw today, I think they have a decent chance against Dusty. And I mean, we heard Icebreaker, right? He said they've scrimmed against Dusty a handful of times, so they at least know what they are about. So they've had a decent amount of time to watch them play. There's plenty of VODs I'm sure they'll be going over, even tonight, tomorrow, to analyze what they're going to be up against. And yeah, I think that either way, we're in for a very entertaining semis in that side of the bracket.
Yeah. As you are facing some technical issues currently right now, I do want to talk a bit about what happened today, Jamada. Ensa looked very strong in their first best of 3. Yeah, but once again, you pull it up again. They're facing off Barrage. Barrage is one of the tournament favorites. Will they be able to do it? And you think no?
I don't know. I just think that even though yesterday we saw a very convincing series from Ents, right? Barrage are a team that have just consistently skill checked and even won games that they might not have necessarily like deserved to have won. Looking at the Trick series, because Trick really just threw a monumental proportions level of throw. But Barrage caught it, and that was the important thing. So they're capable of doing things like falling behind and then like catching up. So even if Ents catch them off guard, we know that Barrage have it in them to actually come back and make things out of literally nothing. And see on our screen here, we've got some highlights of the day, and I mean, I think the highlights of they'll speak for themselves. We were speaking a lot really about, you know, both teams, and Absolved, they ran out of gas come the third game. It really did look like they were going to have it in them to take down Nvision come game 2, but they just faltered when it really mattered.
Yeah, it felt like they were pretty disconnected there, and there's pretty uncoordinated movement over the map there. And you saw Nvision was actually playing like a team. I mean, it's the small things like seeing like a full realm warp with all 5 people in there. Then you know the communication is clean. They know what they're doing. And talking about that series, I don't know if there's a play of the series you have ready for us. I think there is. And I think we're gonna dive into that as well.
Yeah, if we're not being pranked, there should be play of the series.
I mean, I've been pranked before here.
We've never been pranked, and yeah, I mean, this looks like it's out of final game, right?
Yeah, I think
final game.
It is, yeah.
And I mean, I have no idea what Absolved were really thinking, trying to take this fight. It looked like they were just, quite frankly, done with being here. I don't know, maybe it's bedtime for a few players. Like, I really can't make up my mind on what was going on here, and it's just nice from Twist. He's able to pick up all of the last hits. Finds himself quadra kill. Didn't want to go for the penta. I think very restrained in a series like that. You know, if that's game 1, I think they go for the penta for the highlight reel. But, you know, they were disciplined enough to say, okay, guys, Baron, look to end. And I think that was kind of the story of Nvision today. Once they finally found that rhythm, Absolved just couldn't keep up.
Yeah, and talking about the kill, the quadruple twist was very beautiful, but Nvision was so far ahead. And Absolved actually kind of got like baited into the fight that they really wanted to take on right there. There is still a play of the day we have to look at as well.
Play of the day.
What is the play of the day? Because I heard a little bit of Kindred things coming on.
Yes, we do have Kindred things. And let's get into it. Let's unwrap. It's Trouble that's picked the plays for me to pick down. And yeah, this is just Kindred like return ganking. I believe this is the first gank though. And it just turns into such a bloodbath on the top side. You see the first gank comes in, Zombie Kongan, he's in a position where he can let the wave come back into him, but he just doesn't. And like, he steps too far forward, no flash, and it's just a really easy setup. And that kind of sets the tone for pretty much the rest of the game, realistically. Nile takes over the game on the side lane, and wherever Taiki is, Taiki just kind of decimates health bars. And I want to say 25 minutes into the game or so, he had like 7 stacks. That's probably the most stacks I've seen on a Kindred in a competitive game, or at the very least, the most I've seen at this tournament so far. And you can see wherever Taiki went, bodies followed, and it was just jungle top synergy in that one.
Yeah, but let's be fair, if they're seeing this, I do have some hope for them, and I kind of do want to see what they will be able to do against Barrage. I mean, let's be fair, Barrage are still the favorites. I've mentioned it before. Yeah. But if there's a team that might be able to do it, I think Ensa has a fair chance. For now, I need to apologize for the technical difficulties we're having. I mean, we're still all at home, and we do face these things sometimes. And I'm not going to keep you here for too long, so I kind of want to dive into the standing straight away, if possible. Because tomorrow is the semifinals. Tomorrow, Excandra will be here, which is also pretty hype. You won't see me again. Yeah, Ents versus Barrage, we've talked about that a lot, but I want to focus more about Dusty and Nvision because I think that game is really close when it comes to team play.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Dusty as a team, they're a little more versatile. They can play into the top side if they want to. They can play into Click and Hoys. Hoys can play a style where he's very comfortable being alone and he just allows Click to go and roam and impact the rest of the map. So I think it's going to be a really interesting series in general, where I think the drafts are going to say a lot about the kind of style that we see from both of these teams. I think Nvision today, they really showed that they're just willing to put everything in the icebreaker basket with music. And they're happy to just kind of leave the rest of the map to their own devices until they're called upon for something. So I think it's going to be a very, not necessarily draft-dependent series, but the drafts will show us exactly how these teams want to approach tomorrow. But I still feel like Dusty as a team, stronger players, stronger sort of 5-man unit, and they're a little more versatile overall.
Yeah, from what I've seen from these teams is that we're going to see a lot of kills tomorrow. So you do want to check it out. Jamada, I'm going to thank you from this position, and Trouble, you as well. Where you were? Oh, you are still here.
I am still. Listen, okay, there was a problem just in Germany. I checked the map, and like only Germany got hit by the problem. So I'm like, okay, that's really lucky. But yeah, I enjoyed all your analysis, guys. You did great. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for covering.
Thank you very much. And from this spot, I do want to thank Corsair, El Gigant, and Mastercard for making it all happen, and for you for taking me in for these 2 stand-in shows. Tomorrow I won't be here. It's going to be Excondrel that I will be coming back for the semifinals and the finals as well. Enjoy it, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow here at NLC Law. So, till then.